OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
7:30 Friday morning. Very welcome along to OTB AM. Owen, good morning to you.
Welcome back, Adrian.
Thanks very much. Colm, good morning to you.
Oh, wow. Adrian Barry is back.
How do you do this?
6 weeks
How do
away.
you do this again? Tap, tap, tap.
Wow.
How's it going? All good?
Oh, fantastic now that you're back.
Since I've been away, no great developments, Colm. All has been quiet.
All has been quiet.
Great.
No.
What happened, Adrian? Why did you leave?
I left because I preempted you were leaving, and I thought, well, I better get a bit of a break before this guy leaves, because the audience can't take that sort of double hit.
People genuinely thought you were in a ditch in Mullingar after the Talton Cup win.
Well,
is that the truth?
Given the conversation last week, was it? Ditch and Mullingar was probably the preferred option from what yourself and Jared been suggesting. But no, I watched the Talton Cup. Unfortunately, from far. I mean, it would have been amazing. I hadn't planned my year around the Talton Cup in the same way that the elitists of the elite fans of the country, of the elite teams on would plan their time.
But there was genuine worry in the last 2 weeks, I would say. There's been a few comments coming in, like, the likes of Shifty Lad, Bobby Dwyer, Richard Redballs. They're like, what's happening here on Friday? No, I would say the show was very good.
Took them like 6 weeks. Took them 6 weeks.
I would say the show was very good. It was very good.
Yeah.
But I have a welcome back stat for you, if you like. Do you know that Mario Balotelli's only assist for Manchester City was that pass for the Sergio Aguero goal?
When you said welcome back stat, I was
how
like,
is it? I mean, I've heard this on shoehorns.
That really worked with the flow of the conversation, I thought.
I heard that stat the other day, and I was like, geez, I need to say this. I was thinking, when's a good time to say it? But I was, for a guy with so much talent, that was his only assist. Isn't that quite remarkable?
It's great to be back, I must say.
I think that's quite
I thought this was some sort of a me returning related
goal scoring machine. I did want to ask, where were you? Like, tell us.
Well, sure, you know where I was, because you outed me when we were.
You say it as if we don't speak at all.
No, but the audience also knows, because you outed me. I was outed a couple of times when I was away. You're trying to keep the head down, not draw too much attention to things, and then Colm desperately called me one Thursday and was like, "Can you please do the what were they called, the quick picks?"
Yeah.
What were they called?
I'd really rather not.
You lived in France for 5 weeks. How?
Yeah.
Like, what was that like?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was amazing. And obviously, you can tell I got 10 extra freckles since I was out there.
They can all join into one.
In the heat wave. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Yeah, it was really nice, beautiful.
What was the best part about it?
Family time.
Yeah. Nice. That must be nice.
I'm sorry for such a genuine answer, but
that's nothing to do with that.
There's nowhere to go with that. I've no Balotelli stat that can back that up. Anyway,
wine, cheese.
Let's not bury the lead here.
Sorry, someone said last week that they thought you got crushed by a giant wheel of cheese. I think it was Richard Redballs.
Well, that would have been
that was a great
not a million miles away from the truth.
But the wine and cheese was good.
The village we were in, there was a little. I meant to take a photograph and send it on, but just at the corner where at the end of the street where we were, there was a little wine and cheese shop.
Nice.
I for the first 2 weeks I was there, I was like, I'm just not going to go in, because I knew that once I sort of breached, I'd be a regular visitor, and I wasn't disappointed when I went in. The two lads who were running it were unbelievable crack, and the stuff they had to sell was also incredible. So there we go.
Yeah.
You got good French?
No.
Okay.
I worked in Disneyland for a summer, so I'm fluent.
Really? What did you do in Disneyland?
I was Mickey Mouse.
What? You were not?
Yeah. Have we not discussed? I wasn't Mickey Mouse. I did work in Disneyland for a summer, though, in a merchandise shop.
Do you speak a bit of French?
Small bit, yeah. Anyway, we're burying the lead here.
Happy
and we're
Friday,
into our opportunity to penultimately give Owen a sign-off. I mean, I just can't believe it.
It's going to be like the longest.
It is.
It's going to be annoying thing that's ever happened.
The longest ever. You're going to push Brian O'Driscoll into number 2 and the longest ever goodbye of all time. But we're all devastated, and
I'll be here next Friday.
The reaction, you're not going to put me off.
Adrian came into the office this morning. The last one, Owen. Last one, it was like, you want to see him out.
Yeah.
Next week's the last one, folks. Next Friday, tune in. That's the farewell. Looking for tears that day, hopefully.
Yeah, everybody's devastated, and the news was announced yesterday, and none of what we're going to do over the next sort of 5 or 6, maybe even 10 minutes is going to give you too much pleasure now, but hopefully when you're sunning yourself a bit like myself on joining those freckles on a beach and wherever it is you're going to be, it'll give you some comfort when you're replaying the hits on YouTube. You're like, I'm feeling a bit out of touch with home, Colm. I'm going to open that. So look, we wanted to sort of give you a bit of flavour of what people were saying, because I know you're not crazy about the social media stuff. We wanted to go on and just bring you flavour of that, if that's all right with you.
That's fine. You can do what you want, but this is not. This is
do what you want.
This is going to be the most uncomfortable thing that happens to me today.
broken it into a couple of different segments. One of them was like the reaction, to be fair, Colm, now, and you're our digital editor here, has been off the charts, hasn't it?
Unbelievable.
It really has.
We're having our post-show meeting yesterday, discussing what we're going to treat from the show and all that. And then Cameron, our digital team, says, we should probably clip that own tribute, shouldn't we? Our own announcement, actually. It wasn't even a tribute at that stage. It was just a very cold announcement that he's leaving. And we were like, yeah, I suppose we should clip it. Wow. It's blowing up. How does that make you feel?
Okay, that's the second wow this morning after what was the first one?
On Adrian's return.
I don't know. That's very unusual, and people are being very, very nice on social media yesterday for a change, which is absolutely very strange. So,
well, look, there's another week to give you a bit of abuse. I think if people are,
yes, that would be nice. Actually,
week and a half.
Let's just return it back to normality. That would be good. There will be plenty of opportunities to do that. Before
we do any of that, let's get into it. A few to get through, right? We started off with, there's two categories here. One of them is colleagues, peers and general celebrities. So we're going to kick things off. Michael McMullen is going to get us underway here from Gaelic Life. All the best, Owen. Your build-up pieces before the All-Ireland, Mickey Ned in particular, were excellent. And then we're into, this is maybe the tweet of the day, to be fair. Paul Howard, renowned author, writer, many strings to his bows. Really respected. He's consistently excellent and great to listen to. Don't let him out of the building, lads. Best of luck, Owen. That's lovely. That must have been a nice one to get.
That is genuinely lovely.
Continuing our celebrity push, Anthony Moyles, best of luck, Owen. You'll be sorely missed. Enjoy the travels. Sue Murphy, our colleague, one of the best people I work with, an absolute gent, and put up with me for an entire podcast too. We're going to miss you loads. John Duggan. Owen is a unique Irish broadcasting talent, has an X factor about him, is funny, and is most importantly a good guy and a helpful colleague. Enjoy the break. #Kerry.
Thanks, John. Thanks. So there's Game of Thrones prequel pod that we're missing out on, I guess. So
I'd like to have a little Envision box. We should have thought about this a little bit more. A little Envision box.
Squirming here. I'm really liking the full screen, because I actually can't read the tweets unless you put them up full screen here. So if you can continue to do that, that would be great.
And the last one on the peers, celebrities, colleagues is from Sinead Kassan. What a loss. Best of luck, Owen. Another respected member of the media. And I also had, I'm sure your home phone was hopping yesterday. I had a text from another respected, long-standing and respected member of the sports media industry in Ireland, Hazel Nolan, devastated, in all caps and bold, devastated at Owen leaving. He's the best part of the OTB universe, like Tony Stark.
The best?
Again, the best is very strong. Thank you. That's
like Tony
nice
Stark.
To say again, but that's very nice. We all know that it's Adrian, who's your daddy Barry. That
but I actually we were testing Niamh Briggs's line yesterday before she came on, and doing the usual, and then Niamh was listening in just before she came on, and she texted me saying, "Owen leaving?" And then before I responded, she wrote Devo.
Yeah,
and I think that sums it all up, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Why can't we just reminisce in some of the really shit times, or some of the
well, hold the line, caller. Hold
yeah. Don't worry about that.
So the audience has spoken as well. That's we've ticked the first box. The audience has spoken as well. So we'll kick that off here with Herman McGoring. You'll be missed, Owen. Excellent presenter. Hugh Farrell. Best of luck in whatever's next. Mull.
Herman Goring is
WTF. I think he sums up most of our reaction there. Ross Horgan says, genuinely saddened to hear that Owen Sheehan is leaving the team. Hopefully he'll be back at some stage in the future, but Aisling is very good too. And as the saying goes, eaten bread is soon forgotten.
He's so right. Yes. This is the sort of stuff I'm here for.
Ross Horgan,
I'm here for. Thank you.
That is. He was. It all started off so well.
Can't believe.
Enjoy the travels he ends up on after that. Eaten bread is soon forgotten. And then an interesting one from TikTok, Ravanelli. It's Johnny Giles that I feel sorry for. He says, be a devil getting used to someone other than Owen. And then Dembros weighs in with, he talks with Nathan, not Owen. Ravanelli's sticking to his guns here. Why is he always pausing and saying, Owen, constantly so? No, he's always saying Nathan at the start and end of every sentence. I listen in every Thursday. That was my personal favourite.
He's obviously been listening back to maybe a few podcasts from over 10 years ago, but that's very funny.
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, caller,
Paul Callan, Satellite Taxis, got involved too in your tribute.
Satellite Taxis
FC.
Yeah.
Paul Callan, man behind it. He got on to me and said, oh no, Owen's leaving. And then he was looking at the Instagram response, because we posted the video on Instagram, and he circled one of his favourite comments from Mark F. Geary, who will replace Owen as the person that doesn't get any cultural reference before 1990.
There are takers.
It's a good question. I mean, there is obviously an age limit to it. What was it? I saw one tweet yesterday being like, people come, people go, good luck.
The two of you shut up now for a few
That
minutes.
was my favourite. It was a very, very good sentiment, and I think that person is absolutely spot on, and that is it. There is lots of things, lots of sports to talk about this morning.
Well, there is, and we get there. Conor McDermott, though, in the meantime, we'll never forget his report from under the stand in McHale Park as he waited late into the night for the updates. All he wanted was a Kit Kat or a Mars bar, but none to be had. Best of luck in your next endeavour. Thank you for all the times you made us laugh. We all remember that. That was, you were trying to get into the shop.
I wasn't driving then, so I drive now. That probably wouldn't be possible. I had to wait till the train the next morning, so that was kind of.
That was the time you brought the half and half. What's it called?
No, it was just
Not
a
the
big.
half and
It was
half,
just a Kit Kat, or it's just a Twix extra.
No, the pint and the bag of chips. What's it called?
Oh, the medium and chips.
medium,
and Mick Burns, a Castlebar legend. He was down there with one of our colleagues last week, actually, Annette Freeman, who was tweeting about it. Yeah, good man, Mick.
Barry PM says he was just waiting for his beloved Kingdom to bring Sam home, and then he wants to Michael Jordan off into the sunset. I look forward to the 6-part Netflix documentary. All the best, Owen. HG back. Here. Says Barry PM. Griff, sorry to hear Owen's leaving the crew. To have a Kerry and Arsenal voice of reason was always good. Who's going to Yarra for us now? All the best, Owen. Safe travels and enjoy. Shosef Shosher says all the best to Owen Sheehan. A big loss to Off the Ball. Hope he enjoys his time travelling. Life is for living. I don't know, does he mean
Time travelling?
your time?
He means time travelling, yeah.
Travelling or time travelling?
He knows the truth.
Life is for living. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Neil White, in the most complimentary fashion, I always thought Owen was a fantastically reluctant broadcaster. Refreshing, stubborn, unique, and irreplaceable.
That's a great one.
Stubborn?
That's actually a very, very nice tweet, Neil. Thank you. And
A reluctant broadcaster. You must have a comment on that.
I mean, every Friday I get reluctantly drawn into chatting about things that I don't want to chat about. Yes.
Here we are.
Every Friday.
Not for the last 6 weeks, but like there was a theme on this show on Fridays where Adrian would ask me what are my plans for the weekend.
Yeah, we
and
got that.
then he would prize me Jeremy Paxman style, as if I had like hidden keys to terrorism or something like that.
That was always interesting. It was just we're trying to live vicariously via you, Owen, which I'll be doing now, but
I was doing that
just
for
by
the
your
last 6
social
weeks.
media feeds. Are you going to be updating your social media when you're away? Are you going to be like... But I mean, are you going to be like, oh, here I am on a beach and here I am reading a book and doing something more?
No, I'm probably not one of those types of people, to be honest. So,
Right.
as in, like, I'm not really much of a beach person naturally.
Are you not? Why do you say naturally?
Like, I mean, do I look like much of a beach person?
Well, I'm the same.
You're a beach
and I'm-
person,
I
I'd say.
love-
You're a beach
I
dad?
love the beach, yeah.
Are you a beach dad?
What do you mean a beach dad?
I mean,
Why does everything, like, when you get to a certain age in life, have to be followed by the... What?
I could just see you with the cowboy hat, the big sunglasses.
No cowboy hat. Plenty of sunscreen.
Nice.
Brian Kennedy, only thing that could be worse news than this is if Clifford went to Oz.
That
I'm
would
heartbroken,
be
like a death
terrible.
in the family, follows up David Kinsler.
Really do. Clifford going to Australia would be bad.
Gonna miss Owen, says Mark Comerford. Easily my favourite of all the OTB presenters.
Very kind, Mark.
People's gift game was very strong yesterday. Gavin kicked us off with this, which I'm sure must have been one of your own favourites, Owen. Eamon, why would you do that? Brendan Devaney, ultimately, where do we go from here? As also my top three.
Stuff like this is
three.
yeah. Now look at that. That really, as soon as Rich Stark Cooper did that was the end. That was the end.
There's a split screen.
There's definitely like a few of my mannerisms and things like that I've tried to change as a result of that.
Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. It was like at the start. It was like there was definitely a sense that I wasn't taking it so well, and then my family WhatsApp group started ripping the piss out of me because of Rich Start, and I was like,
But it's the ultimate compliment. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
It totally is.
But I should have just called it quits there, and then I was like, he's defeated me, and I should have just sailed off into the sunset at that point.
What were any insight now that you can give us as you take your leave for a period of time as to what some of those mannerisms that you had to work on?
But I know that people found we're only just showed a still image there. People found Rich Starr's posture very funny.
Really? Okay.
And then I'd just be sitting with a few of my friends, and then they just go.
Well,
off
it's
like
changed so much, Owen. It's changed so much. As
Well,
we
you
showed
see,
the
this
split
chair is
screen.
absolutely messed up, and my back is obviously subsequently more messed up since 2019 as well.
Enda Lynch says, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, Kerry, Arsenal, American sport, a powerful combination gone. James O'Brien said, my wife enjoyed coming down the stairs to say, hey Google, turn off the radio. after I enjoyed the previous 1.5 hours listening to OTB. I'm sure she'll miss him as much as me. I mean, I'm sure she'll still do that. There'll just be different people in the seats.
Absolutely.
First Cody, now this. It's too much. Best of luck, says Linda. Gutted. He was a top presenter. All the best on, says Aaron.
He was.
Is there to be some X Factor style? He was. I know exactly. Yeah. Is there going to be some X Factor style auditions for his replacement, Jerry, Adrian, and Nathan as the judges?
Great shout.
Oh yeah.
Colm, you taking part?
Colm should be in there, of course. Would be required to be in there, and by the look in his face, would be.
Have to work with this new person every single day.
If we could ever get him out from slouching in a seat and hiding behind the laptop.
Well, I mean, the chair's like. Jesus.
We're 15 minutes into the show.
Davy Mack says, you haven't heard this one before. Davy Mack says, people come, people go. Good luck.
This is my favourite.
Thanks for stealing it. Thanks for stealing it earlier on, but it's a good one. Paul Morrissey says it's a power play. OTB going to have to double his wages and time down to a long-term deal.
Open to offers.
And we leave you with Mike Breen, who says, not the news any of us wanted to hear today, but I understand the rationale behind it. You're damn right on to get out there and explore the world. Enjoy it. I hope you find yourself back playing a big part in our daily lives again upon your return. Gannairi and Boherlat. That seems like we've trawled every single comment that existed.
Well, not every
on the
single
internet,
comment,
but it absolutely wasn't even fraction of them. The response has been justifiably and understandably spot on, very complimentary, and we're going to miss you. We've another week, obviously, to do this, so I don't want to get too emotional just yet. But
yes, we do, and people are going to be absolutely it was next Friday, but I appreciate it all the same. Thank you very much.
This is also in itself, I'm not unaware, going to trigger another spate of social media mentions for you today, for you across the day.
We just don't have to clip it. We can just not clip it.
Go ahead.
I'm saying there's going to be a lot more comments off the back of this.
I was saying that we're not even done with the comments, because the live comments are full of Owen tributes again. Well, the worry is that we're going to peak too soon.
Could we do a daily slot for the next week?
I think we can do a daily slot.
Let's not do that.
We don't have to do that long, but
no, we don't have to do that long. We can kind of sprinkle it in.
No,
throughout the show. There is room.
No, let's
any Mbappe style power that you once wielded around here.
Oh, nice segue.
Is now gone.
Very nice segue.
We should do the coming up, should we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, we're not going to talk about. We'll come back to all.
We'll do the coming up and then we'll come back.
Okay, yeah. Here's what's coming up in the show. I've been told to say, Julien Laurens, football writer, is standing by and will be joining us very shortly to talk about Mbappe's power play at PSG, and we'll no doubt touch on some Premier League related stuff as well. Michael Burton, who regular viewers of the show will be familiar with, was on with us a couple of months back, started the summer talking about his 32 half-ironman across 32 counties, and that is almost upon us now. So Michael is back to talk about his update us on all of that, tell us how his training's going and how prepared he is. Andrew Coscoran is confirmed and ready to go, hopefully in a little bit. He ran and finished 9th in the European Athletics Championships in Munich yesterday. Top 10 finish for him, pretty good stuff, so we'll get his thoughts hopefully a bit later on. Owen's been talking to NFL kicker Pat Murray, who's talking about his career and also looking ahead to the college football game, obviously, in the not too distant future. We'll have a live crappy quiz for you and a new host. I mean, I don't know if everybody's quite prepared for this, but it might actually help wean our audience off Owen.
Exactly.
Very true.
Exactly.
That's a really good point.
That's the ambition.
Is that why we're doing it?
Adrian, who's your daddy Barry, is no longer taking part in the quiz. He is the grand master of the quiz this week.
I feel way more nervous about hosting it than I ever do about my pitiful attempts at being a participant.
You have hosted it.
I have previously. Yeah. Arthur, Mick and Shane. Very good. So that'll be coming your way.
Arthur will be in studio. Be a nice little touch of a Friday morning.
Lovely.
Sure you'll agree.
Okay, coming up on 10 to 8, OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. That's a flavour of what's coming up a little bit later on. We are going to talk about All or Nothing later on, are we? Is that the plan, or what are we doing?
Well, I think we can just do very quickly here before we get to Julien.
I was told to watch an episode of it last night, and I did that. I watched the final episode of it. Up to this, I've just seen the 30-second, minute-long clips of the best stuff that has popped up my TikTok feed, and it's been good stuff. And it's obviously if you Arteta is the one who obviously is front and centre of this thing, and you wonder the process that went through his own mind when they said, "Oh, we're going to do this thing," because he's ultimately the one who's getting most exposed by this entire thing, and always was going to be. It wasn't like, oh, we found this interesting character. And watching the episode last night and from the previous ones I've seen, I do really like Mikel Arteta, and it certainly seems like he's got a lot of the right ideas. But watching a lot of the detail of the stuff that he was doing last night in the team room and around matches, it was really hard to believe him.
How do you mean?
his speeches seem so contrived, and like he's got this. I wasn't expecting the energy out of him. The energy was off the charts, but it also felt a little bit like I've been to school to learn how to be energetic in a room.
Really?
That's what it felt to me watching it. But like I said, I am
get the
sort
entire
of
opposite.
just sort of juxtaposing that with the idea that I do really warm to him and I really like him. But I did feel like when he was in there, when he was talking to the players and he was saying, guys, I've got this connection with you, and he would also thump himself and thump everything around him, which at some point I was like, it was a bit like the spitting on the hand stuff. I was like, he's off in that for a while. I really like you, you're the best group I've ever worked with, I'll never work with, I've got such a connection with you. And it would pan around the room and generally they'd be like, it was just, it didn't seem as if they were bought into this two-way connection.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because we've been reviewing this with each week for the last two, and our consensus is that the players really seem to buy into him. And the more you watch it, the more you kind of buy into Arteta yourself. I think he's really impressive. I think he's quite innovative with his speeches, and it's really difficult to come up with something new and attention-worthy to a group of players and individuals, some of whom are not playing and probably don't like you very much because of it, and he's still kind of gripping a room, or the way it's edited certainly seems like it for me. I wouldn't have thought that at all, that players were disinterested in what he was saying. He came up with a novel approach of using a light bulb as a reference point for one of his pre-match team talks recently, then turn on the light bulb, because the light bulb not turned on is useless. But turned on.
That's forced, isn't it?
You know,
it's too forced.
No, I really like him. It's a good documentary series, kind of a very feel-good factor about it. But I'm just waiting for the Manchester United one. You know, that's really what I'm waiting for here. That's what I can't wait for.
I don't know. Like the first episode, I thought there was like definitely a few cringe moments.
Yeah,
with what he was doing, and I think that's fair enough. But I don't know. I think it's very hard to say that the players are disinterested in what Mikel Arteta has to say. I think that if anything, that they are almost tribally following Mikel Arteta, and they're all part of the one thing going forward here. It's very hard to get a sense from the documentary that there are players who are disinterested. Maybe, like, I haven't seen that at the newest episodes, maybe it completely shifts in the most recent episodes, but certainly the 5-6 episodes that I've seen, it's like these guys are all very much signed up to the cult of Mikel Arteta.
When he comes into the room and he's talking about the light bulb amongst like a group of, like, you know, a lot of sort of early 20-year-olds, and like it's all very contrived.
But of course
I can understand why in the room they'd be like, and I'm not saying, by the way, that they haven't bought into the Mikel Arteta project or that they don't like him or any of that stuff, but it's just the speech just seemed a bit, I don't know, I definitely felt there was a bit of a disparity between where he was and where they were.
Well, the first episode I watched, I thought the same as you. So then the more episodes I've watched, the more I'm understanding his approach. Definitely. So I would have been you 2 weeks ago.
Oh, right.
But now I'm like, well, I actually
I
totally
too
understand.
could develop like you.
You could absolutely develop in time, yeah. But there's an interesting comparison.
Who's the Mikel Arteta of
Alex Ferguson
OTB?
does a speech. It's online, 1998 documentary about Fergie before the United played Liverpool. And I wouldn't exactly describe it as an inspiring speech. And the players look bored. And that's Alex Ferguson. So, you know, I wouldn't judge Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, but like it's 25 years ago what you're talking about.
Not necessarily. It wasn't tactical nuance. It was just a general attention.
Look, to be fair, it is kind of hard. Like, I haven't seen the light bulb thing. I must watch it. I'm sure there was certainly everything on social media as well now. But like, I did say 2 weeks ago that the moment where they have the two people holding hands and he's drawing on the whiteboard and all that felt David Brentish, to be honest.
Small bit
like
of
that can be. You can appreciate that while at the same time accepting that whatever he's doing is working, and he's bringing the players with him, and he is very, very likeable and an outstanding manager. I think that's the one thing that's come through over this. Like, he's got a lot of the big calls brilliantly correct. That's not to say he will continue to do so, but everything we've seen in the documentary so far, it has been really impressive in terms of the big decisions. But I accept that when he goes into performance mode in front of his players to try and inspire them, that's where there's a big chasm between David Brent and Pep Guardiola.
Move on, says Colm, but points well made, Owen, as always.
Thank you.
Try and compliment you as much as we can now over the next 10 days or so. Coming up at 8 o'clock, a reminder, by the way, that Braeburn Coffee is the official coffee partner of OTB. Each week we're giving one lucky winner, one lucky viewer, a €100 voucher to spend on some Braeburn Coffee goodness at an Applegreen store near you when you're out and about. So to enter that, just check out the Off The Ball Twitter account and just like and retweet our Braeburn competition post. You'll see it up there, and that will mean that you're in our draw. Braeburn Coffee is Applegreen's new premium coffee brand that offers customers the best coffee experience on the road, and it's available now at 30 locations nationwide. We're turning our attention to the drama at PSG, joined on the line by the French sports broadcaster and writer Julien Laurens. Good morning, Julien.
Hello, guys.
Infinitely fascinating for us to watch on and watch the various social media clips, obviously, that emerged from the action last weekend between PSG and Montpellier, and the Mbappe stuff particularly. He's obviously been given, and it's very much on the record, been spoken about this great sums of money and great power, Julien, by the club. Is what we're seeing on the pitch now almost a natural reaction from someone who basically now views themselves as a serious power player in the club in terms of all aspects of the running of it? Or is that too easy an explanation?
I think it's a bit of both, probably. I think he was grumpy before the game started anyway. He had a tough week, from what I was told, with all the field stuff, like personal issues and things like that. So I don't think he was in a good mood anyway. And I think the penalty gate made that mood even worse, in the sense that he's officially the number 1 penalty taker. Neymar is the number 2 penalty taker, the second one, which means that Neymar takes the pen only if Mbappe is not on the pitch anymore, or if the foul was made on Mbappe leading to the penalty. The thing is, Kylian missed the first penalty, and then 20 minutes later, when the second penalty happened, for another handball in the box, so nothing to do with Mbappe, not a foul on him, and Mbappe was still on the pitch. When Neymar took the ball to put it on the spot, everybody knew there was trouble, because Neymar himself knew that he should not be taking that penalty. Kylian knew that even if he missed the first one, technically he was still the number 1 penalty taker, and that should have been his. And Neymar knew it as well. Neymar pretended when he spoke to Luis Campos and Christophe Galtier that he was a bit confused. Number 1, number 2, 1 penalty, second penalty to take. All of that. He knew exactly what he was doing. You saw the little sort of chit-chat between them two. And in the end, we knew as well that Neymar would not give the ball away and that he would take the pen. And he's a better penalty taker than Mbappe, that's for sure. Now the stats prove it. It just adds a bit of the drama already. We're only 2 weeks in the season and the drama is there already. I don't think Neymar liked the fact that Kylian was being given all that power now that he's the main guy, now he's the leader. And I don't think Mbappe liked the sort of issues that Neymar has brought lately, like, being late, timekeeping, those kind of stuff. I don't think Mbappe thought that was professional, especially last season under Pochettino. So I think there's a bit of baggage there, and clearly the tension is there between them two.
How much of this is on the back of the new contract that Kylian Mbappe agreed to, and some of these terms that we've heard associated with the contract in terms of increased importance in the training ground, and, as some dramatic people may say, becoming de facto manager in the dressing room? How much of a factor has that been in what we're seeing early this season?
I think Neymar has been surprised. That's certainly what I've been told. He was surprised, and I bet, but I don't know for every single player in that dressing room, but I would think that he's not the only one to have been a bit surprised by the amount of power that Mbappe has been given. Again, the power is not written, black and white on the contract or on a piece of paper. It's not, Mbappe has to give a green light for transfer. It's not like that. But everybody knows that the club, and with Campos especially, more than Christophe Galtier really, because the relationship with Campos is very, very strong. They've known each other for a very long time. So especially Campos and Mbappe, everybody knows that he would be consulted on a lot of things. So yeah, I think that probably didn't help already the relationship between Neymar and Mbappe. That was really close, super close at the beginning when they both moved to Paris in the summer 2017. And they kind of drifted away in the last couple of years. I think just that added a bit to the gap between them, because Neymar didn't really get why at 23 years old Mbappe would be given all that power.
We've just been discussing the All or Nothing documentary before you come on there, Julien, and it strikes me, having watched some of it, that in a functioning club like Arsenal, where that sort of thing would appear on the pitch, the manager is going to be pulling those players in afterwards, and there'll be deep conversations about it. How does all that unfold for Galtier when in the context of everything you've just spoken about in terms of the Mbappe contract?
I mean, Galtier is tough. Mbappe signed the contract before Galtier arrived. Right? I think Luis Campos had a pretty strong idea that he would bring him in, but the whole Mbappe story and the finale of it, and that incredible twist that he was not going to Real Madrid but staying in Paris, was done way before Christophe Galtier was appointed. But Galtier is tough. Galtier is a hustler. You can't not respect what Galtier is doing in that dressing room. If you're a player, I mean, because he's tough, because he will see you on the bench. There's no doubt.
Okay.
So I guess, if we take a lot of the managers, even the managers that were there, Unai Emery hated confrontation. Thomas Tuchel didn't like confrontation either. Mauricio Pochettino, even worse. So I think if there's one guy that has been at the club in recent years on that bench, that actually I think he even relished the confrontation, because it's a way of showing the group the discipline and his authority, is Galtier. So Galtier is tough. What was interesting is on the Saturday, straight after the game against Montpellier in the dressing room, it was Sergio Ramos first, who brought Neymar and Mbappe together in the dressing room and said, okay, I didn't like what I saw, no one liked it, this is not acceptable. Then the next day, both Galtier and Campos also took them both in their offices to say, listen, what was that about? So I think before, and certainly we saw that in penalty get one between Neymar and Cavani, that neither Unai Emery or Leonardo wanted anything to do with it, or Antero Henrique, sorry. And the difference is that this time, with Campos especially, took them and they didn't say anything. Campos was really strong on them, like he should have been.
Was that before or after Neymar started liking the posts that were being critical of Mbappe?
No, after, because that happened.
Okay.
That happened in the night between Saturday and Sunday. The Campos and Galtier kind of meeting with them both was on the Sunday afternoon, and Campos said to Neymar, "Don't do that. Don't social media. You know how dangerous it is. You know that everybody sees everything. So just don't do it. Be a grown-up kind of thing, and be the great player that you've been so far." Because Neymar, that's the other thing as well. Mbappe missed the start of the season, the first two games, the Super Cup, and then the first Ligue 1 weekend. He came back against Montpellier having not played a single competitive game for 3 weeks, for example, since his last friendly. Neymar, on the other hand, in that time, was outstanding for PSG. The best player by far, better than Messi, who's really good, but still Neymar was above him. So there was also that, I think, to take in consideration in the whole story.
And then you have obviously the power play of Neymar's alliance with Messi and probably Ramos, and then you have Mbappe on the other side. Does the conversation that you're talking about with Campos and Galtier, has that just drawn a line under it? Do you expect, Julien, from here, or does that are the battle lines actually now properly drawn and we haven't seen the last of this?
That's what both Neymar and Mbappe say. That's what the club says as well. I think the egos are too big anyway. Not just between them two, but I think in general in that dressing room. And I think there will be more stories. I'll be back on the show and we will talk about more drama, which I think is fine. I think it happens in a lot of clubs. But they all know that to win and to win big, to win the Champions League and everything, they all have to pull in the same direction. Even if they're not all great friends and they're not all brothers and this and that. You've got the leadership in that dressing room. I think we start with someone like Sergio Ramos, who is not closer to Neymar and Messi than he is to Mbappe, for example. I think he's very intelligent in the way he kind of runs the dressing room a little bit. But then, of course, you've got little groups there and there. Hakimi and Mbappe, for example, there's a big bromance there, like Messi and Neymar, of course, and others. But I think it's something that Galtier and Campos and Sergio Ramos and Marquinhos, who's the captain, but maybe not the most vocal of captains, but certainly still the club's captain, have to keep an eye on, because especially Messi is more chilled. Messi doesn't really care so much about egos and stuff like that. All he wants to do is play football and play well. But between Neymar and Mbappe, maybe a bit of Icardi there's a few where the drama can come from. So I think they need to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, Ramos could be the hero in all of this. One thing that struck me, Julien, on the one of the clips that was going around from the Montpellier game was, the throwing of the arms up in the air.
Yeah.
You didn't pass me the ball, and now I'm out of this move. But actually, like PSG, we're pressing up the pitch and we're moving into a really good position. And if he'd have continued his run, he could be properly in the mix. Is there any sense that this stuff is going to impact on his game? I mean, I know a lot of it obviously comes down to an unanswerable about whether the line, that is the end of it, and ultimately they'll continue to dislike each other but just carry on with understanding that there's a job at hand. But it did strike me that he had sort of down tools and had given up the opportunity to contribute to a possible goal scoring chance. What's your sense of how much this can impact on his game?
It'd be interesting to see if he does it again, for example. And I saw it straight away. I didn't even need the clips that then went on social media and went quite viral I know him so well that sometimes he can be like that. Sometimes I think there's that in him. It was just before the break, like we said, he hadn't played for a while. He missed that penalty. By then he hadn't scored his goal. His goal came in the second half, and I think there was a maybe a feeling of I've had enough of this first half. This is not good. And when Vitinha, I think the ball from Vitinha to Messi it's not a bad ball. You can easily play that ball. I think the ball to Mbappe is the right ball to play there, and I think that's only what annoyed Mbappe, because I think Vitinha is so good that he can easily play that ball, and then Mbappe is through, and then he's one-on-one and etc. But the ball to Messi is not a bad ball either. It's not like if he tried double step over, nutmeg, and then lost the ball, and then you could have said, "Oh, come on, man." So in a way, and I see what Kylian, I could see what Kylian did, and I can imagine how he felt on that moment. But again, things like that happen 100, maybe not 100 times, 50 times in a game. So it's about decision making. Sometimes Kylian himself makes the right call, sometimes doesn't. And if people go mad every single time he makes the wrong choice or the wrong pass or the wrong movement, then it's endless. So I think he will know that he messed up on that one. He's the first one. I think he's quite critical to himself in a certain way. So I'm hoping that him or his dad would have said, "Come on, this is not acceptable either."
There are some similarities with the malcontent, I suppose, that's maybe going on at Manchester United at the minute, obviously, with their very high-profile, well-paid player who it seems they're trying to get rid of with Ronaldo, and not having much success at the minute, and not a huge amount of clubs that can necessarily come and take him. Any developments in that, Julian, as you understand it, or with a couple of weeks to go, the likelihood of it happening in your view?
Well, I think you can always have a final day of the transfer window, August 31st, kind of denouement, and then the ending, and he finds somewhere a bit like he did last summer from Juventus to United. The problem is the list of teams in the Champions League, and we still have some that haven't qualified yet. So maybe if you're a Rangers fan or a PSV Eindhoven fan, fingers crossed, if you qualify, he might come and offer himself to you, because that's pretty much what he's done with every single club in the Champions League this season. So I find it incredible that a player of his caliber, one of the greatest of all times, is offering himself, via his agent, but still, to pretty much every man and his dog. And I find that sad because of who he is, and I think he should be enjoying the last few seasons of his incredible career and enjoy that legacy and all of that, not being scrapping to find a club because he wants to play in the Champions League, because he wants to score a few more goals just in case Messi tries to catch up, or someone in the future like a Haaland or an Mbappe overtake him as a record holder, goal scorer in the Champions League. I find that incredible. So the latest one was Dortmund. There is no way he's going to go to Dortmund. Why would Dortmund sign him anyway? He doesn't fit their philosophy, the club that they are. It's just the way, everything is. So maybe Atletico Madrid and Diego Simeone, but again, on that one, I would find it really sad that even Cristiano himself is ready to play for the arch rivals of Real Madrid, where he's one of the legends there and one of the greatest players of the history. And now he's ready to go to the arch enemies just to score 2 or 3 more goals in the Champions League for his own tally. Again, I find that really sad.
Obviously, the complete debate around Cristiano Ronaldo seems to centre on the goals versus, are the goals actually worth it given what he's contributing to the system? But really, if you listen to Gary Neville on Monday Night Football and you zoom out and look at the entire list of players that Manchester United have bought, he did make the point that this has become a graveyard for talent. And I'm not sure which side of the debate to come down on and which side is right, but you can definitely empathise with the view that the club has not been good for Cristiano Ronaldo as much as Cristiano Ronaldo may not have been good for Manchester United. And I wonder, Julien, are clubs around Europe potentially thinking that way as well, where they're maybe going back a further season and thinking, look at Juventus Ronaldo, he was pretty good in the Champions League. That's the guy that we could potentially get in and give us a kick in this year's group stages or beyond.
The good Cristiano at Juventus was still a while. It's not that long ago, but they were playing in a certain system. Basically, I think the only way you can play him is a front two. And let's be honest here, none of those clubs really play with a front two. I mean, you can play, again, and if we go back to Atletico Madrid, you can play off Joao Felix, but it's not really a front two. Joao Felix is not, another number 9 that can play alongside Cristiano. I think Cristiano needs maybe a Morata or needs like a proper number 9 next to him. And also, the thing is, the lack of intensity in his game anymore, and especially off the ball, the lack of running and the lack of pressure. Last season, he was the worst of all strikers in all the big 5 leagues in terms of pressure per 90. I mean, that means the guy at Troyes ran more than him, like pressed more than him. The guy at, at Cadiz in Spain. I mean, do you see what I mean? The guy who went down in the Premier League at Norwich. That means he was the striker that ran the press the less in the whole of the big 5 leagues. So if you're, any kind of forward-thinking manager that wants his team to play high and press and counter-press, why would you want him? For a few goals? Yeah, of course, he will always score at least 15 a season, maybe 20 a season, because he's the greatest finisher of all time. So he will always finish. If the service is good, he would always finish. Remember the volley away at Spurs last season in the Champions League, in the Premier League. Amazing goal. The movement, his positioning, the finishing, it's great. That will never leave him. But for the rest, why? I'm not sure collectively he can fit in many systems and many formations that right now the top clubs in Europe have. Even a Dortmund, even a Sporting. Okay, people say, the dream, maybe he can go back to Sporting and finish where he started. If you're Ruben Amorim, right now, Cristiano doesn't fit in anything you've been doing for the last 3 years or 2.5 years. And Ruben Amorim is one of the most promising young managers in Europe. And right now, if you put Cristiano in that team, it would not work the same way. And all the success that they've had under Amorim, because he's not the player that fit that system. And I don't think he fits in many systems. And that's the problem. So I don't know what will happen. He might stay another season at United because he's got another year on his contract. And if no one wants him, he's not going to, they're not going to pay him off. And then he stays without a club. And this is it. This is the end. There's a World Cup in 3 months and he doesn't want it to be the end. So he will have to find a way.
Because he's one of the greatest footballers of all time as well, he may end up scoring on Monday night, and suddenly the people who make a case for him will be like, we can hold on to this guy for a while, which disregards all the points that you've just made, which isn't right, I don't think. Just finally, before we let you go, Julian, on that game, do you expect it to go with form the way everybody expects it to go? I mean, maybe not exactly like last season went, but win for Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be fascinating. I don't know if Casemiro could be registered on time. I think right now he still looks difficult to do because there's still quite a long way. Well, not a long way, but there's a way to go for the transfer to be fully done. And then for him to be able to be registered and play. I don't know if it's the kind of game that you want Casemiro to play on his debut. But I think he would certainly help that team because he will improve it. Whether you think it's a short-term, whether you think it's a crazy move for him and for United because he's 30 years old, he's still better than what they have. So he will improve them. I don't know if with Ten Hag, how you approach that game. Do you go super defensive? Do you keep a similar team than what we saw against Brighton and Brentford? But then that there's a huge risk that you're going to get battered. And if you're Liverpool, you need a reaction anyway. I don't know who's going to be the third one up front with Salah and Diaz. I don't know if he start a Carvalho, for example, which I would really like to see. But maybe this is, again, too much of a big game for Carvalho to have his first debut in the Premier League for Liverpool. So I don't know how you address that if you're a club. And for that, the Darwin red card is a huge blow. But I think it's going to be fascinating. I think this one will be open. I don't think United under Ten Hag can just sit back and defend. And if they want to do that, I don't think they're good enough defensively anyway. I expect Maguire to be dropped and Varane to start with Lisandro Martinez. And then we see for the rest. But I think it's going to be a fascinating encounter. And right now, it's hard to not see Liverpool winning it.
Yeah. No matter what selection they go with up front or anywhere else almost at the minute. Yeah. Julian, really interesting stuff. Pleasure as always. Thanks a million.
Thank you, guys.
Julien Laurens, football writer, BT, ESPN and beyond as well. Always really interesting stuff and good insight into what's going on, particularly on the French scene. OTB AM at 8:15 on this Friday morning, brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. And as you know, for the first time in 3 years, OTB returned to Vicar Street this week for our bumper Cadbury FC Roadshow. It was a genuinely fantastic night alongside Ian Wright, Emma Byrne, Karen Carney and Michael Owen, and Katie McCabe even dropped in for good measure on video on the night, and all money raised from tickets on the night as well will go towards grassroots women's football in Ireland, and you can hear much more detail on that if you tune into the Koi Gig pod over the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that over the next while. The crowd also made the night, to be fair, it has to be said, and here's a snippet from the evening. It's Michael Owen talking about Gemma Owen and her recent stint on Love Island.
So look, we're going to have a few laughs and talk about fun stuff as well, but there's no point trying to ignore the fact that we all have tough times in our lives. So for instance, there would have been a time in your life when you would have heard, Dad, I'm going on Love Island.
I thought that was coming.
We're sorry to do this to you, Michael.
I didn't know what you were talking about at the start, and as soon as I thought, this is coming, yeah.
But Gemma was amazing on Love Island. I watched the whole thing, I'm not afraid to say. And she came across so well, and she was the youngest contestant. I thought she was so beyond her years and how she came across.
Yeah, thanks. It wasn't the best of conversations when she first asked me, I must admit. But on a serious note, I had no worries about her. She's pretty sensible, and she's a good kid, and I had no worries. I didn't bring myself to watching some of the challenges and things like that. I don't like seeing my daughter kissing other people. But in general, I probably watched 30-40% of the show. And on the days that I didn't watch, I was on the phone to the wife at 10:05 saying, how did she do? And no, it's been great feedback, and she's done well, and she was 50-50 whether to go on it in the first place, right. But I think it's been good for her, and she's had a good time.
I suppose the scary thing from your point of view is not so much how she'll do, it's how will this be edited, how will it be received, and you would have a deep understanding of fame at a young age, and it's not an easy thing. No, it's not. I suppose that the one thing that I was concerned about, I had no worries about her. I was concerned about the stigma, maybe people saying, "Oh, your daughter going on that," and because I've not watched it personally in the past, but I've heard about it, and we all know. We all know what people are perceived like going on it, and that was my main worry. I'm going to be an avid watcher from now on, I can tell you now, I've seen it.
There is that fear, I suppose, fame at a young age, what way it'll go. For you at 17, you signed your first professional contract with Liverpool?
Yeah, and actually in the days after, it's actually reminded me, because, don't get me wrong, I still semi in the public eye doing the TV and things like that, but it has reminded me a lot. When you read there's virtually an article about her every day in some showbiz magazine or newspaper. And the inaccuracies of it all is unbelievable. It just reminded me of when I was 17, when I was 18, and it felt like there was an article about you every day, and it was like, that's so wrong, it's so inaccurate. It's amazing what people do, because if they can't get the news themselves, then of course they will make a lot of it up. So, but it has, it's made me realise what it was like, but she's handling it fine, and but she's really a home girl. She loves being at home, and since she's been away, she's come back, and she's had to be in London for a few days doing different bits and bobs as part of the ITV contract, but she can't wait to get back home and start riding a horse again.
Yeah. She said that the whole way through.
And she's got dogs and horses and everything else that she's just missed like mad, so she can't wait to just get back to a bit of normality now. And I presume fun to see the blank faces when your name was mentioned, the new generation who were like, who? Well, this is the thing now. I'm walking down the street and people are going, that's Gemma Owen's dad. Like, you what?
OTB AM. This is OTB Sports Radio.
Have you subscribed to the OTB Football Podcast?
Our fan base, Liverpool fan base, is among the biggest bunch of bedwetters. And there's always hysteria. Well, you know what? It's early days.
Jadon Sancho is a bust. He is now trying to come back from being a bust.
I don't think he's a bust
He's
at all.
100%
I don't think
bust.
so.
He's a complete waste of money so far.
No.
Subscribe now to the OTB Football Podcast stream wherever you get your podcasts, and download the OTB Sports app.
If your business relies on a van, that wouldn't sound good. But this does. Get up to 75% off van insurance. Now available in FPD branches nationwide. FPD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. 75% no claims discount based on 5 years claims free. Available on new van policies used for farm or business purposes. Terms and conditions apply. Underwritten by FPD Insurance plc. FPD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FPD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
20 past 8, you're watching OTB AM, and delighted to have you along with us. We've so much to come between now and 10 this morning. We are going to talk to NFL kicker Pat Murray in just a little bit. We've a live crappy quiz coming your way as well. And do keep your comments coming in, by the way, if you're wishing Owen good luck. He loves to see them coming in. So the more complimentary you can be, the more cringe he's going to be, and ultimately the better show then we're going to be able to make. So please do keep the comments coming in. Delighted to say that we're welcoming Michael Burton back to the studio. He was with us a couple of months ago. Michael, how are you getting on?
Very good.
Thanks
Very good. Glad to be back.
Coming in, yeah. People will be regular viewers will be familiar with your story and what you're up to. But just to recap it very briefly, you're doing 32 half-ironmans in 32 counties across 32 days. So it's 32 1.9k swims, 32 90k cycles, and 32 half marathons.
Yes, that's it. Got it in a nutshell.
That is quite the undertaking. So we're over 2 months down the track, I think, since we last spoke. And is it 10 days out thereabouts?
Yeah, starting on the 31st of August. So
how's all the prep going?
It's going. Yeah, no, it's going well. Few little bits to like kind of close up just with regards to swim locations and tides and stuff like that. But other than that, it's pretty solid of a route and where I'm going to be and everything. So
are you so in terms of like the logistics of the sites of where you're going to do this stuff, most of these you won't have seen before, or you'll be going there fresh?
I'm going there fresh, yeah. So predominantly around the country, there's like a triathlon club in every single county, and like I just don't have the time to drive around the whole country and find swim locations. So I just got onto every single triathlon club, and they got back to me and said, okay, well, we swim here, whether it's a lake or a river. And
so you make that your base, and that's from where
so I'll just start the swim there. They've kind of said, okay, well, you can go out and back, and that's your 90k cycle, and then you can do a loop here or whatever it is. So just kind of go with the flow a little bit on like the swim or on the cycle and the run. I can kind of do them wherever, like it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But the swim is obviously the hardest part to find somewhere. Like you've got landlocked counties and stuff like that. So,
and are you trying to do them in a time? Like what's your mindset?
No.
Just get out and do them.
Just get out and do them. I won't be trying to do any sort of time, no intensity. I'll just be plodding along and getting them done each day. In fact, I'll probably try to do as many swims with the current as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the plan.
And so you somewhere at home have like some sort of a war room with like all the counties mapped out and all the locations
Google
mapped
Sheets.
out. Google Sheets, right?
Google Sheets, yeah. So I have Google Sheets upon Google Sheets of all the counties, all the triathlon clubs, all the contacted people, all the in the last like 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of hotels have like offered me like accommodation. So shout out to all of those. They're making my life a lot easier. But yeah, that's pretty much how it's going to go.
What's the craziest thing you've done like this before this?
The biggest thing I've done before this was probably the Ironman. I did an Ironman just over about 2 weeks ago. That's like probably my biggest event that I've ever done.
So it's a bit of a step up. You're ramping it up significantly.
I'm ramping it up significantly. Now, I have been training for this for like over a year. Okay. So I said I was going to do this about this time last year. I was actually on a cycle with my coach, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. And he was like, great. Yeah, well, that's
good man.
100%. Yeah, go for it. So I've been training for it for over a year. Did the Ironman last week, and I was like, do you know what?
Where was that?
Maastricht over in the Netherlands. So that was good fun. First time ever doing an Ironman event. First time ever doing like a full Ironman, like every single one of the distance spot on. That was good fun. But I felt good after it. Like I had to go into the medics tent at the end, but after that I actually felt quite good. So
what was that? What was up? I mean, apart from the fact that you've done an Ironman.
One of my friends, a good friend of mine, he did a marathon over in London, and I really wanted to beat his marathon time after doing a 180k cycle and a swim. So for the last 7k I just went all out.
So you were fatigued, to put it mildly.
And did you succeed?
I did.
Okay,
yes.
Nice. It's all worth it.
By about 10 minutes, so I was very happy with it.
What's your biggest concern in terms of injury doing this?
So I have in the last, like I say, since the 2 months that I've been here, I've had a bit of an ankle injury, which I had to kind of nurse back, and then just a back injury. But hopefully I'll have, I pretty much, I think I've got them sorted now. So it's just like really like heavy intensity, like running for the course of it or anything. I'll just hopefully just be able to just plod my way through it. But
And like in the eventuality that there is something, have you like any sort of like, you know, what's in my mind is we had Damien Brown and Fergus Farrell on here not that long ago, who were the two lads who were running across the Atlantic.
Yes.
We were chatting about all sorts of eventualities, and if you listen to the podcast, which I highly recommend you do, Deep Roots, it's an incredible listen. And you see all the pitfalls and the stuff that like you know, they certainly had in mind. Fergus is no longer in the boat, for example. He had to bail after a couple of weeks or whatever. So just that eventuality planning for stuff that you haven't seen. Have you thought through much of that, or?
I presume like it's all just going to kind of happen as it happens. I can't really think. I don't really want to think too much about things that might happen. I'll just try plan and have everything together. Like, I don't know if you're following, there's a guy, Conor O'Keefe. He's doing 32 weighted marathons around the country. So I got on to him. I'm sure I'll chat to him afterwards and see if there's any kind of pitfalls around that. But just trying to talk to as many people who have done anything similar. Like there's a lad up north that I'll probably chat to as well that did 10 Ironmans in 10 days. So just keep chatting to people and see what they recommend. But I recently got someone to drive me as well, so I don't have to do any of the driving at all.
I was going to ask about support team. That's right. That's amazing. Jeez.
Yeah, so I'll have someone driving me, so that will take a little bit of pressure off. Well, I'll have to do as little driving as possible. So
you said whatever it was 12 months ago, you're cycling along and you tell your buddy that you're going to do this. Why are you doing this?
I'm doing it to raise awareness for men's mental health and young people's mental health. Because it's like in the years running up to COVID, I struggled hugely with that. So I'm just trying to give something back and just try raise awareness for young people. And pretty much the kind of one message that I'm having out there is just to, like, if you're struggling in any way, is to talk to somebody and to open up, whether that's a friend or whether that's going to therapy or whether that's talking to your family, but just talk to somebody. Because once I started talking to people, especially my friends, everything compoundedly got better for me with regards to my mental health and what I was doing and getting back into exercise and stuff like that. And then I suppose for the Irish Cancer Society, the reason for doing that is because my granddad passed away of cancer when I was 8, and I suppose retrospectively, if I look back at like my behaviour between like 17 and like 23, 24, I don't think he would be very happy. So I'm trying to, I suppose, make him proud, do something for him as well.
That's lovely. Have you found the on the mental health side over the last couple of months, when you're like full bore at that, how have you found that dynamic? Has it helped? Has it been challenging?
And I can't stress this enough, like exercise is such a good distraction for mental health. Like, it's amazing. Like when COVID hit, I didn't really do much therapy or anything. I just did exercise. And then it got to a point where, you know, I was like, okay, I should probably go talk to someone and do some therapy, because this has been fantastic. I've lost a load of weight, but mentally I'm still, you know, got some issues going on. I need to get them sorted. But since I left my job, my 9 to 5 in January, and just said I'm going at this full bore, as my mental health has probably got progressively better. I've been doing like things like CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, and other things like that throughout the kind of run up. So as a whole, I'm feeling as fit as I've ever felt. and mentally as good as I've felt in a long time. So
it's incredible. What's the, like you mentioned the phrase full bore there, which I think anybody who's paying half attention this morning will get a sense that it's absolutely that in terms of the pressure, the preparation for the event and the event itself. What's the plan like for, you know, when the 32 is done, like the next day? You know, the people often talk about the Olympics and, like, you know, the cliff edge aspect of we're building up to this thing and now it's done, and what the hell do I do now?
Yeah, I have other challenges that I have set myself. So I'll probably do the Dublin Marathon at the end of October. Okay. I want to do that for a time. But afterwards, I'm taking 10 days. I'm going over to Portugal for like 10 days. I'm just going to rest up. I'm probably going to make a move away from Ireland over to the UK again. But I have other things, like I have other races booked for next year. I'll just continue training. But yeah, that's definitely something. I did like a large event last year. It was a kind of like a big triathlon, kind of like an Ironman, but it was a different brand. It was called Hardman, and exactly that. I kind of had built up doing this event to like the highest peak. It was going to be. I was going to feel amazing afterwards, and I didn't. So I've kind of gone through that already. So I kind of know what that's going to feel like. But yeah, I suppose I am a little bit apprehensive about how that's going to be. But
yeah, well, you're also like dealing with it head on. You know, you're not blind to the fact. You're not saying, oh, after the 32 days we'll see what happens. Yeah, you know, the Portugal thing even is allows you to ease yourself out of it almost to a degree.
Yeah, 100%.
So plenty of people in contact this morning. Loads of lovely comments coming in. What there was one here that I just wanted to mention. I love this guy. Fair play to him, says Michael on YouTube this morning. What Michael and the other people that are watching who want to get involved, want to track your progress or want to donate, tell us where to go.
Yeah, so just everything is going to be done through my Instagram. The last time I was on here I was saying that I lost an Instagram account, never to come back. So my personal Instagram is Michael Niall Burton. You can follow me there. I'll have everything up about where I'm going to be the day previous. I'll have a full list of all the counties I'm going to be, where I'm going to be swimming, and then in my link tree on my bio you can see the donation page. So it's I donate, and then if you just Google the 32 challenge or 32 challenge on I donate, it will come up for there.
Well, look, best of luck for the challenge ahead. I don't know if that's quite captures the feeling of goodwill towards it, but best of luck with it, and we will track your progress and we'll catch up with you again on the other side.
Thank you very much.
Well done. Thanks a million for coming in.
Problem.
Michael Burton, thank you. A reminder at 8:30 this morning that Braeburn Coffee is the official coffee partner of OTB. Each week we're giving one lucky viewer a €100 voucher to spend on some of this Braeburn coffee goodness at an Applegreen store near you if you're out and about on the road. So check out our Twitter account and you can just like and retweet our Braeburn competition post and you will be in the draw. Braeburn Coffee, Applegreen's new premium coffee brand that offers customers the best coffee experience on the road, and it's available now at 30 locations nationwide, so check out all of that. Up next, we're hoping to be live from Munich with Andrew Kosker, and fresh from his impressive top 10 finish at the European Athletics Championships, the 1500 metres yesterday. So that's the plan. First of all, before that, here's more from the Vicar Street Cadbury FC Roadshow we mentioned a bit earlier on. This time Ian Wright talking about the incredible impact that his strike partner Dennis Bergkamp had at Arsenal.
In respects of being able, what I'm very fortunate for and what I'm always thankful for, and this is why, because like I got in so late, I always, even when I was playing for England, playing in the big games for us, I always had the moments where I was like, I cannot fucking believe this is happening to me. And it's the same with Dennis. You know, playing with him and the way we played and the way we struck up the partnership very quickly because he's so good. You know what I mean? I can run into space, he could create space for you. It was just like made for me. And it was one of those situations where I just wanted to play longer with him. I just wanted to play with him more because of how great he was. And you saw everything about Arsenal change when Dennis signed. It was like when Spider-Man got bitten by that fucking unbelievable spider. The DNA changed. The whole DNA in Arsenal changed when we signed Dennis. As soon as he put his finger, that pen to that paper, our DNA changed. We were going to be a different team. And it's no coincidence that it's because Dennis, everything, all the success we had at Arsenal, especially when, obviously from 95, 96 when he got there, he was the main fulcrum of it. He was the main architect of it. And this is why Thierry and everybody who's played in that team, said the best player they've played with is Dennis.
Yeah.
We were very lucky to have him. And if George Graham was the manager, he would never have signed him.
Why?
Because he just wouldn't have. He's the kind of player that George Graham just wouldn't have signed. He wouldn't have signed a player like that. Because we had a really good chance of getting David Ginola. If you speak to David Dean, could have got David Ginola after we played them in the semi-finals of the Cup Winners' Cup. He was desperate to come. He wanted to come. George Graham didn't want him. And I was devastated with that because that's the kind of player that we would have been unbelievable at Arsenal.
Amazing stuff from Ian Wright in conversation with Joe and Ashling at Vicar Street during the weekend. That full piece coming your way very shortly, all but thanks to Cadbury FC. It is 25-9. We still have loads to come on the show. We're going to be doing a live crappy quiz in just a little bit. It'll be Arthur up against Mick up against Shane. I keep, just not used to this crappy quiz. Goodness, I'm definitely feeling the sweaty palms. I have the package right here beside me, and I'm feeling under a little bit of pressure. And Liam Dunn on that note on YouTube says, Owen better be on the crappy quiz next week.
We'll do it next week, yeah.
But will you be on the? Will you be
I'll
contestant?
host it next week.
No, will you be contestant?
No.
I think. What do you think, Colm? Like a contestant rather than the host, as for one last.
Like for that, yeah, I would just be very mediocre as a contestant. And as I would go from a mediocre
will put you ahead of me straight away
to a contestant. So yeah, which side of the mediocrity coin would you like?
Well, let's ask the audience. I think let's let them decide.
Yeah,
because there is most of the comments that have come in. We didn't bring half the comments earlier on, but most of them were obviously in relation to the crappy quiz. Does that fill you with I've worked hard here over the last 4, 5, 6 years, and the one thing that people are sort of banging on about is the crappy quiz just isn't going to be the same.
Yeah, the crappy quiz isn't mine. It was here before I was here, and it'll be here after I was here. So the crappy quiz is safe, guys. Don't worry about that.
JP Wright says, at the end of the day, lad, you're just a number. Safe travels and pack the sun cream.
I 100% agree with that. That actually makes it a lot easier.
Shay Geelong says, good man, Owen, enjoyed the travelling. Met him in Japan during the World Cup while the rest of us were flat out in the beers. He was keeping it professional. Fair play to him.
Yeah. I'm flat out in the beers a couple of days there, but obviously different days to you.
Bobby Dwyer says, completely agree with Adrian on the contrived nature of Arteta, the cringest manager in the league.
Tottenham fan Bobby Dwyer.
Is he?
Right. He's our resident Spurs fan, Bobby Dwyer. I don't even know Bobby Dwyer's name.
And also, it's totally unfair to say that because we don't have the same access to all the other managers who are doing equally cringe things in their own dressing rooms.
Yeah, like the Tottenham one, obviously, with Jose. Was that as cringe? Probably was.
Less, but certainly cringe.
Yeah.
He also follows up, and thank you for that context. All or Nothing, the best season finale since The Office Christmas special. Couldn't deal with the news yesterday about Owen. Best of luck. Who'll keep Gilroy in check now? Asks Alan O'Neill. And then just loads of comments coming in the back of our Michael Burton chat there. I love this guy, fair play to him. Looks like a young Graham Souness, which was a great show.
Yeah,
I wish I'd seen that when he was here. Padraig Egan, only people happy to see Owen leaving are the Mayo County Board. Michael says, good man's a great message. You're an inspiration, says Tom Dalton. Fair play to this lad. This is Jamie. Fair play to this lad. It's amazing what a short walk or a run in the fresh air can do for the head. That's it. And then Andrew Garrity, enjoy the extended J1 Owen. All the best.
That's what it is, basically. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's happening there. Couple of things to mention from the newspapers. There's some good stuff inside. There's plenty of reflections on the Irish clubs in European action last night. Shamrock Rovers 4-0 defeat to Ferencváros. General sort of tone of things that could have been an awful lot worse. But it means their interest there is done. But they do have the backup, obviously, the Conference League, which by all accounts was probably something they were as happy to be in and might actually make more money out of. Either way, it's a definite amazing knock-on consequence for them. And also reflections as well. It's very much dominating the back page, as you can see, of the Irish Daily Mail here this morning. That Shamrock Rovers result, and a picture of Heather O'Reilly here as well, who was in studio with Owen and Ger not that long ago. Shelburne with a 1-0 win in Slovenia last night. That puts them into the Champions League playoff on Sunday against the Icelandic champions, and some big teams up against each other at that stage. And they'd just missed a penalty. They'd scored after 4 minutes. They'd just missed a penalty before that, and it was brilliant vision from O'Reilly, sort of just inside the box. So sees the keeper has just taken a bit of a step off her line. It's exactly the sort of reason that she's in the team, and the sort of vision that you would see, and the execution obviously was there to head it over the keeper. Lovely goal. And exactly why she was there. And she did come off, I think, just before half time. Whether that's fitness or a bit of a knock, Who knows? But hopefully she's fully fit to play on Sunday and can keep Shelbourne moving in the right direction. So that's what's happening there. Plenty other stuff happening across the back page as well. Also, their sell-up now. United fans pile pressure on the Glazers as those rumours and reports continue to mount in relation to that. Slick Ferencváros leave Rovers with a mountain to climb, writes Paul Butner in the Irish Times this morning. Globally, it's not a level playing field in terms of opportunity. This is Lisa Fallon's thoughts in relation to women's football and loads more as well. Interesting stuff and a good context piece on the 1500 metres final at Munich at the European Championships yesterday as well from Ian O'Riordan inside. Mainly focuses on Wunderkid Ingebrigtsen, who I was kind of thinking, he must be like he's 26, 27 now at this stage, but he's just been around so long. He's 21, I think. And blitzed the field yesterday, and we're hoping to speak to Andrew Corsican, who was finished ninth in that race. Great achievement for him, who will be on the line hopefully very shortly. Casemiro, pretty good.
Yeah, that works.
60 million deal for Madrid star. Stam, it's time to let Ron go. I think it is. And, all the sort of two sides of the fence, well, sure, he scores loads of goals but he's dragging the team down. I think most right-thinking people now are in the latter category.
They are, and I guess the point I was making earlier, which I'm not even sure if I fully subscribe to myself, is just that everybody's been so bad. Everybody's been so bad at that club. That does he not also deserve the sort of, it's a place where careers go to die sort of argument as well? Probably not. He's I can absolutely see the argument that he kind of detracts from the team on a tactical level. The Casemiro signing is an excellent signing. We were also chatting about this earlier in the week, and I just didn't see this. I couldn't see the incentive for a player like Casemiro to go to Manchester United, because he's still very, very good and has a lot to give Real Madrid, I would have thought.
Yeah.
So it's a strange one.
Sort of signing at last that United can sort of get behind, taking a player from another club who's actually of value to that club. But I don't know, the Ronaldo stuff, none of this. He needs to, Julien Laurens touched on it earlier, but he's got another, whatever it is, 10 days to get the hell out of the club, and I think for everybody's sake he does need to get out of there. I know obviously the Champions League thing, and he put it really well earlier on in relation to his thirst for more Champions League goals and for his legacy and all that sort of stuff, but I also think for his legacy in terms of United and United fans, him there stinking the joint out, making faces at Ten Hag, none of that stuff. For a player of Ronaldo's stature, the manager-esque stuff that we saw him on the sidelines for Portugal previously, and people thinking, there's a manager in this guy at his age behaving the way he did on the sideline, very visually going counter to Ten Hag, just reflects so bad on him.
Yeah. Well, when was this now? This was
one of the pre-season games or whatever it was. There was this real childish sort of arms in the air and making faces at him, and I don't understand what you're saying to me, and it's
to be fair, I suppose he was doing that on Saturday, but at least he was doing it on the pitch, which I guess is a little bit better. And
well, at least at that point, it's not direct, exactly, and it's not directly at he's leaving Ten Hag in a possible position. And to be fair, Ten Hag is Stone Cold Steve Austin batting the questions away when they come at him. He's
yeah, that's the only comparison you can make between those two people: is personality.
There's no emotion to be seen, but internally, when the all or nothing comes out, it's I want this guy out of the club. He needs to get out.
I can't believe there were reports this week already being Ten Hag is considering his future, or will consider his future.
Well, when you're seeing what's happening there, and I don't know if it's going to get any better for them Monday night, but at least at that point they have the context. At least afterwards, even if they are beaten 4-0, they can say, Liverpool are Liverpool.
Yeah. They just have better players to go up against Liverpool, and they're going up against Liverpool. It's a good time to get Liverpool, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
If they have any hope of arresting the sort of hammering that a lot of people would have thought was coming after week 1 of the Premier League. Not sure that's going to happen, but you'd still favour Liverpool.
Supply demands. United fans lay down the law to potential buyers. This is in the Irish Daily Star this morning. Stam says Ron should walk away, and it's Rover and out for walloped hoops. Writes Mark McCadden at the top there in the back of that Shamrock Rovers game last night. Fan United on the Irish Mirror this morning. Manchester United anger growing at Glazers. Manchester United fans have issued a list of demands to anyone planning to replace the hated Glazer family as owners. A list of demands, it'll just be, thank God it's somebody else. A bit like the Newcastle situation, which I appreciate is a different dynamic, but...
Yeah, but it's actually not... It is totally different in a lot of specific ways, but the overarching theme is the same. look at this terrible owner that we're getting out. We don't care how terrible the new guy coming in is. It's just not the last guy, and that's all that matters. And I think that's possibly similar with whoever may come into Manchester United to take over. What's the worst case scenario here for United is that if the Glazers kind of sell a portion of the club and they still have a huge degree of control over the club. I think that'll probably frustrate United fans more than anything else.
John Claffey says Adrian hosting the crappy quiz in front of Owen will be like someone else hosting the weakest link in front of Anne Robinson.
There was definitely a far more kind of crude reference there that you could have gone for, but I'm glad you stuck to presenting. Yes, indeed.
Jesus, I mean, I wasn't even considering that, Owen, but thank you for significantly lowering the tone of the conversation.
Yeah, no, that's
wow.
yeah. I wouldn't feel I wouldn't feel great now about that. But look, if it has to be done, it has to be done.
You're also happily not going to sort of sit around judging. You'll at least be in the comfort of your phone or somewhere else. You're not going to sit in the studio.
I won't be judging you.
Well, no, you will. I'm saying you will be. You just won't be sat in the studio judging me.
Oh no, is he possibly talking about next week?
No, I think he's talking about this week.
Oh yeah, sorry. I need to leg it. So sorry. I won't. I'll be judging from afar. I'll be listening in.
You're off. You're busy getting the logistics.
Yeah.
No more of that. One of the other things we want to talk about, we've chat with Pat Murray coming up a little bit later on. NFL kicker, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Browns, Saints. And he's going to look ahead to the college football game next weekend, but and also talk a little about his career, and interesting guy all around.
Yeah, he's somebody that I think a lot of people would be very familiar with, because not only is he, an Irish guy who's succeeded in the NFL and managed to make it at the NFL, he's also just really in touch with Gaelic games and Ireland in general. He gets back here quite a bit, pays a serious attention to Gaelic games, and it was a conversation that we had a little bit earlier in the week, and you could tell that he's been watching everything. Like, even as a kicker, he had great admiration for a certain kick that won a semi-final this year from Sean O'Shea's boot, and we kind of got into conversations around some of the psychological barriers that he would have had to overcome as a kicker, but also the differences between the likes of Ronan O'Gara or Sean O'Shea. That's in one category, and then in the other category is the NFL kicker, because you can't go through the whole psychological routine that all those lads in rugby or Gaelic football would do. Like, as Sean O'Shea was saying, Maurice Fitz told him that, this is your time now, this is your time to make your mark in the game, take your time, take your breaths, go through your routine and pop the ball between the posts. With the NFL kicker, it's holy shit, there's 14 massive men running at me, I've got no time to think about it. So maybe there's a little bit of a routine about it, but it's also just quick fire reaction compared to slow.
And I'm also going to only see the ball at the last second,
exactly,
which was one of the interesting takeaways.
Yeah. So he reckons that if Sean O'Shea was to put on a helmet, it would also add a level of complication, which is something you don't really consider. But
is there any need for them to wear a helmet? You have to wear a helmet on the pitch.
This guy did was it his ACL he did? I know that's not the head. I appreciate there are different parts of the body. But serious injuries can occur to kickers, as we know, and they can definitely get absolutely. I've seen kickers get smashed and straight down the ground. They definitely need a helmet. Yeah.
We've a poll, by the way, if you're interested in getting involved this morning. We've a poll up on the Off the Ball Twitter feed. Owen is breathing heavily here beside me, which is an indication that he knows exactly where I'm going. With Owen's last show coming up next Friday, should the crappy quizmaster join as a contestant and put his knowledge to the test? We ask. Oh God, yeah, or no, he's the host. 80%.
For God's sake.
Oh God, yeah.
But it's only 32 votes. I have voted for no, he's the host. Have you voted yet? Please, your vote counts.
Yes, it does, yeah. And
that's
get in the God,
that's yeah, okay. Whatever you want to do.
One of the things that we want to mention before we get into that Pat Murray chat was that in the office during the week where you'd Niall O'Toole on and you were reflecting on the amazingness of Paul O'Donovan and how he really should be sort of just rubber stamped basically as Ireland's #1 sports person of all time.
It should, and you know what, I think we should magic up Colm Boohig in studio. There he is.
How are you? Great job.
I was in the production box there a second ago.
Yeah.
The hell happened?
Wow. And it struck me that he's obviously, I think it would have been you mentioned on that, or somebody mentioned that he's not even in Cork's.
Well, Colm said on Tuesday that Paul O'Donovan is not even in Cork's top 4 Irish sports people, even though we're having a conversation about him possibly being Ireland's greatest sports person.
But then the thing was, but now we have the context of he's getting more amazing, and he might have, as Niall said, what is the medal count? So we're going to get to a point where he unavoidably, if he's going to be debated as whether he's Ireland's top sports person of all time, he's surely got to be on Cork's Mount Rushmore. Cork's Mount Rushmore, easy for you to say.
I would think that's a prerequisite.
Over to you.
Oh, I would love nothing more. I would have nothing more to put Paul on this Mount Rushmore. My hands are tied, Paul.
Why?
I can't do it. I mean, I can't unless
we're reopening the Cork.
Can we have a fifth head?
Well, just say remind us.
What can you do? So everybody out there, for those who don't know, my 4 people on Cork's Mount Rushmore speak for themselves. Roy Keane, Sonia O'Sullivan, Christy Ring, Rodan O'Gara. Now, before everyone goes crazy, tell me here in the comments, who am I kicking out for Paul?
Well, don't worry about
nothing to do with Paul. Nothing to do.
Don't worry about
Paul.
don't be outsourcing.
Paul O'Donovan fan.
Don't be outsourcing your responsibility here.
I am.
Come on, the question is to you.
I am.
What's your order of that 4?
Hold on now.
What's your?
Remember, no, I didn't come to you and say, please let me on the show again to talk about why Paul O'Donovan should be on Mount Rushmore. The burden is on everybody else.
No, so are you saying
to me why I should put? I can't put Paul on.
One question.
The burden's on.
Is Paul O'Donovan in the conversation as in the top 1, 2, 3 Irish sports people of all time?
He's getting there, isn't he?
Well, no, I'm not asking you for a vague, loose answer. Is he?
Yeah. He's getting there.
How is he not on one county's top 4? That doesn't make any sense.
I would say he is.
Can I put it to you this way?
Make up your mind about this.
Christy Ring
is need me for this conversation.
Is Christy Ring? Well, I'm trying to probe beyond the nonsense, and you outsourcing a responsibility for this crucial question.
Wow.
Is Christy Ring in the conversation for Ireland's greatest sports person of all time?
Greatest hurler of all time?
No, I'm talking about Ireland's greatest sports person.
You saw a lot of them, did you?
That's really good. That's quality. We'll miss that, won't we?
Who's closest?
As I said at the time, 2.5 years ago, when I did the Mount Rushmore, it was the second one. Did the Mount actually? And on that, the only two Mount Rushmores who did it with just one person was me and Nathan. Bravery, that is. Mayo and Cork were first. Everybody else had a partner. That's one point. That's 1 point. Yeah, I mean, with the production there, that's 1 point. Point 2 was what? What did you say to me there? Just before that point,
it was about how much of Christy have you actually seen? You know?
Yeah, okay. So obviously you do the research. We do research for every segment we do. So I did the research for that, collated the data, and actually anecdotally spoke with Billy Boohig. Now you won't speak ill of Billy Boohig because you're a good friend of his.
Colm's dad, and he is a gentleman.
Yeah. So he saw him when he was very young, and he was behind the goal for one of Christy Ring's goals, and he ducked.
I was just being
the sheer ferocity of the shot.
I was just being facetious about Christy Ring, by the way.
I know, I get that. I do understand that.
You don't need to.
So that's Christy.
Yeah.
Roy is Roy. And now I'm looking at the comments here.
Give us each contestant's resume. We know who they are. You're just avoiding the question again.
No,
this
I'm looking at the comments here. So I'm saying there's Andrew O'Brien kicking Roy Keane to the curb. Now, I don't know how you would even begin to justify that. Then Mark Dunning comes in with Raj for me. But Raj was probably the most stats-heavy justification.
The fact that you're slipping out a screen there and slipping behind the desk and disappearing behind your laptop is very visually.
Well, I'm kind of looking at Jojo at the same time as well.
Of your points.
So, no, look, Paul, I love Paul O'Donovan. Oh my God, I love him. And actually,
not that much.
I was listening back to that Mount Rushmore during the week in anticipation of the potential of doing this segment, and we actually did say it at the end that I think you said to me, Eoin, does Paul need to win gold here to be considered? And I was like, yeah, I think so, and I think in the next 5 to 10 years I mightn't have a choice but to put Paul on, and that maybe that will be the case someday. But what I'm struggling with all week long is I really don't know who I'd knock off to Mount Rushmore.
Who would you knock off?
No one.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. I couldn't.
Paul O'Donnell's not in the top 4 Cork sports people of all time.
But hold on. Hold on a second. He's eligible for the other 31 counties.
Listen, is there anything more Cork?
But if you were doing an All-Ireland Mount Rushmore,
he'd be in contention, yeah.
But he obviously wouldn't, because you've obviously got 4 Cork people ahead of him. So that
if I was doing it, or if one was, he is.
You were doing it.
And also I am. But I must stress that I'm a massive Paul O'Donovan fan, and I'm really struggling with this. That's why I said at the start, my hands are tied here. There's only 4 spaces. We have a great bench, though, don't we?
You're not even getting into a conversation about how he might be better than other people who are on the list. You're just not entertaining it.
I have a great point here by TB in the YouTube comments. If Adrian wants to include Paul, why doesn't he want to include Finton?
It's not. I mean, thanks for the comment there, TV. But I mean, I listen. I doff my hat to.
There's a difference in level of success there.
Absolutely.
And I also doff my hat to Niall O'Toole, who'll tell you that it's Paul.
EH comes in. What a Sonia one. a silver medal at the Olympics. Well, Sonia was quite dominant. And speaking of the European Championships, look at her CV from the 1990s. She won.
But I also think there's like
gold galore. So she actually really consistently brilliant
world
career.
champion and also the sport.
World champion. Had that record from 1994 to 2017 as well.
But also it moves beyond
and also just
a point, doesn't it? It's
cross-cultural figure, incredibly influential. And look, maybe there is a kind of who's a good kind of comparison there where it's not so much the CV. Maybe Paul McGrath's so beloved and he was on a Dublin Mount Rushmore, and there's absolutely no argument with that. But there are people with more glittering careers on the CV than Paul McGrath, but he's intangibly amazing, and that's kind of the same with Sonia in Cork.
I visually a second ago just realised that you're doppelganger for Mikel Arteta, and the stuff that's coming out of you now over the last sort of
it's because I'm wearing the kind of grey jumper
4 or 5 minutes
and
has been
what a lazy
absolutely worthy
lazy
of an all or nothing dressing room scene on. It's absolutely vague, avoiding the point, giving responsibility to other people.
Just to be clear,
I don't think we've got anywhere with that item.
Hold on. I wasn't saying team in the running order. Let's definitely do Cork Mount Rushmore.
I'm just saying that
there was an argument for
you're contradicting yourself, and there's no way that we can push you into
that's the one thing about this segment is I've been consistent. My point has been repeated 3 to 4 times. And there are people in the comments getting involved.
You can repeat it 100 times.
Obviously, it was worth it because there's people in the comments getting involved. So obviously, from a content perspective, it is worthwhile. Now, there's a great interview coming up here.
Michael Boohig, thank you for coming in there. Very good. 5 to 9, watching OTB AM, live crappy quiz on the way. Before all of that, as part of the build-up to the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, coming to an Aviva Stadium near you very shortly. Eoin spoke with the ex-NFL kicker Pat Murray. Take a look.
Okay, we are delighted to be joined now by former NFL place kicker Pat Murray as he previews the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, which takes place in the Aviva Stadium on Saturday, the 27th of August at 5:30. And it's going to see the Northwestern Wildcats go head-to-head with Nebraska Huskers. Tickets for the match are very much on sale right now, and they can be purchased at ticketmaster.ie/touchdown Dublin. So that's ticketmaster.ie/touchdown Dublin. For more information around the game, you can go to collegefootballireland.com or follow the conversation on social media using the hashtag touchdown Dublin. Pat, good to see you. How are you keeping?
Yeah, not too bad. You got me up early for this one, so it's good to be on.
Life has changed a little bit for you since you immediately retired from the NFL. I guess you're not even a New Yorker anymore.
No. With work, I was moved down to Florida. Now our home base here is Manhattan, which is where I'm currently speaking to you from. So it's always nice to come back to New York. And funny enough, I actually got to train with Rockland GAA last night. So got to throw the boots back on and kick a few points over. So it's great to be back in the area. And obviously, I miss it up here, but it's always nice to come home.
I would imagine that Florida is not a GAA stronghold compared to some parts of New York City, right?
Yeah, you don't see people, pucking a slither or kicking balls over the bar in Florida too much. It's a bit hot down there, but there is a club in Tampa Bay, actually, which is where obviously I used to kick for a little while. So I try and stay as involved as possible when I can down there. Obviously, they just don't have the numbers, but it's great to come back to New York and get kicking ball back with Rockland GAA over in Orangeburg in New York. It was great to be out with the lads.
Was there ever any time when you thought that you could have donned the colours of New York County GAA?
Well, funny enough, I got involved with the college team last year. So I was still pursuing an MBA, and that qualified me to be able to play on the college team. Now, you had lads who were doing their undergraduate degree that were playing Gaelic football, obviously all the way up through. I had to take a break to kick a football between posts for the Buccaneers and Browns. So you let the younger lads play, and I was there probably more as the older mentor, shall we say. But nice. I was training with the senior team as well when I was still living here, and it was great. The lads, they put the hard work in, that's for sure. They've come close, but they just haven't done the business as of yet.
When you start playing, I guess, a game like Gaelic football in the years after you retire from playing American football, what's the biggest difference in terms of how you feel? Like does your fitness need to be at a different sort of level? Is it a different type of work you're doing?
Well, most of the people can't see me other than you right now, but I've probably dropped 25 pounds of muscle since I stopped playing in the NFL. So the biggest difference is Gaelic football, I'm doing a heck of a lot more running than taking 3 steps and booting the ball. So the fitness is what needed to change the most. And thankfully, I was able to transition quickly, did some more long distance running, asked some GAA players for some advice on some of their training habits and how they were able to increase their fitness, particularly what they do in the off season. And I'm fortunate that 2 of my cousins were in the running to play for the Louth team. Oisin actually did play for the Louth senior county team. And his father, Kieran, who was the physio for the Irish national soccer team, he gave me a few pointers as well to increase my fitness. So it's good to have a backroom team like me.
A lot of tough love coming from the family, I suspect.
Well, there's always been tough love. I mean, some of the toughest games I've ever been a part of were in their backyard playing a soccer match. I mean, they were knocked down, drag out. There was no love lost there.
I can imagine. What would you think is the type of Gaelic footballer who would make it in the NFL or make it a college football the best? Because we were doing this thing recently. We were doing like with Shane Walsh and Sean O'Shea as part of the college football classic. Yeah, so there's been a general curiosity, and there was a separate thing we did with, like the likes of Lee Chin as well recently. So I think a lot of Gaelic footballers and hurlers are curious to know, how would I get on in American football? So what sort of player would make it easiest, do you think?
Well, you have to look at a guy like Aidan O'Shea, right? His size is just incredible. Looks like a tight end. He's got hands. He's tough, be hard to bring down. I won't say he's Rob Gronkowski because there's only one Rob Gronkowski, but that type of body would be very good in an NFL setting. As far as kicking is concerned, take a look at Sean O'Shea's free. I mean, what an incredible moment. And he could potentially have the ability to kick in the NFL. Now he's going to have to shorten up his steps and things like that and learn how to kick with a helmet on. But you never know. He could make a run at it. I think Dean Rock could make a run at it as well. And hard not to mention Conor Mcmanus as well, being a Monaghan man. He could definitely make a challenge for a kicking position in the NFL.
He certainly could. I don't think you could put much past Conor McManus. The question I had, and it's interesting that you mentioned the helmet, was that, you know, we kind of align a lot of place kickers with the fact that they would be good American football kickers, but the pace at which you need to react almost to the snap, I suspect, completely transforms what is a very specific art form.
Yeah, so if you take a look at Sean O'Shea's free, right? He's got a decent run up to that ball, and he's got a decent amount of time to take a look at the posts and set himself, and he goes through his routine. Kickers would do the exact same thing. However, once that ball is snapped, you have to go from snap to hold to that ball's gone off your foot in less than 1.3 seconds. Otherwise, you risk some of those incredibly fast individuals on the opposite side of the ball coming around the edge and diving and blocking that kick. So it's the speed that's really the difference, and it's the timing of everything. That's really what we worked on primarily Monday through Saturday, is pure timing, so that on Sunday we were very confident that once that ball was down and the snap came and the hold was made, that I was going to get the ball off in less than 1.3 seconds.
Right, okay. And then the helmet element of things, is it hard to is it generally a situation where you kind of need to have like exceptional, I don't know, is it peripheral vision or whatever it may be to try and ensure that you're constantly stable and you're not putting yourself under pressure too much?
You kind of broke up there, but I think you're referencing the helmet, and
yes.
You know, I can speak to potentially the vision constraints that you may have. So it's not that big of a deal. You get used to it, quite frankly. And the cage is big enough to where we as kickers, we're not wearing a 3-bar, we're wearing a 2-bar, and it kind of opens up our eyesight that much more. So seeing the ball is not really the issue. It's potentially going to be an issue trying to get your head balanced correctly. And that just comes with time. You know, you have a strong neck, you develop your traps, you'll be fine.
And the other question that I had was with regards to the psychological warfare that I guess is more prevalent in American football, obviously, with coaches trying to ice the kicker. I guess we've seen Sean O'Shea and the attempts to try and ice Sean O'Shea during that semi-final when they're shaking the goalposts to try and put him off. So what's the closest you've ever come to getting properly iced, or what's the worst example you can think of?
Oh, I mean, I've been iced many times. Coaches will call timeout. as soon as I'm back in my stance ready to kick a ball, I can remember Sean Payton doing it when he was with the Saints. Look, I've got a routine that I go through when I get iced. I go through the kick. I want my center to snap the ball so that I can get a practice shot. If you give me a practice shot, that's great. That's your fault at the end of the day, because I'm going to go out there, and if I don't hit it properly, I'm going to adjust slightly, and then I'll make the next one. It's just as simple as that. So kickers have developed their own practice routines to when they get iced, they step away from the ball, whether it's on the line or whether it's on the sideline or whether they go back to the net or whether they just take a drink of water and don't think about it. There are ways that we have developed the ability to kind of ice that, so to speak, out of our mind. And if you look statistically, if the coach is going to ice you, I think 70+% of the time, maybe even more than that, it doesn't work. So quite frankly, I think it's a waste of time.
So you're not thinking to yourself, screw you, Sean Payton. You're like, I'm going to prove you wrong on the scoreboard.
Now, if I think about Sean Payton during the game, then unfortunately, I probably shouldn't be playing in the NFL, because Sean Payton shouldn't be living in my head.
What about other psychological elements that an opposition can throw at you?
Well, look, some of the colorful language that's thrown across the line when I'm back there is pretty unique. And some of the fans in the NFL have come up with some pretty interesting things as well. They do their research, that's for sure, particularly in Philadelphia. That is one place where if you are an opposing team, you will, you'll be shocked at some of the things that they know about you and some of the things that they say. But look, you're a professional athlete at the end of the day. Your job is to go out there and whether it's to throw the ball, catch the ball, or kick the ball, to do your job effectively and come off the field, hopefully with a win.
Is any of the stuff you heard in Philly repeatable in an interview?
It's not, unfortunately.
Right. Wow.
We can talk about that offline.
Let's do it. Let's talk about it offline. A couple of other bits and pieces then. I mean, we're obviously going to be watching two brilliant teams at the Aviva Stadium in a few weeks in Northwestern and Nebraska. Your own college career, though, is a really interesting one. Like, I was just reading an interview you did where you made the point, playing for Fordham University, you almost succeeded as a result of your team not being amazing. Is that a fair summation of how things work for you?
It is. I mean, look, I was a 3-time All-American. I was 2-time All-American punter, 1-time All-American kicker. I set all these records my senior year as far as kicking is concerned. And quite frankly, it was the fact that my team was not very good when I was playing at Fordham. Now, there were some issues as far as coaching and things like that. My senior year, we really turned it around. Coach Joe Moorhead really turned that program around, and he then brought Fordham to heights it hadn't seen in a very, very long time. But absolutely, my job was to put our team out of danger with the punts. And my other job was to put points on the board when the offense couldn't score a touchdown. So the fact that they couldn't get the ball in the end zone, yes, it benefited me from the ability that I was able to kick the ball a lot more and get some more notoriety. But at the end of the day, it was a team effort. I couldn't do it without the other 10 guys on the line doing their job so that I can just go out there and kick the ball. And it's the same way. I was reading prior to this a little bit about Northwestern and Nebraska. Funny enough, Coach Fitz at Northwestern, he's on the committee for the Fred Mitchell Award, an award that I won my senior year of college. So I've had the opportunity to sit down and chat to him quite a few times. And what an incredible individual. I mean, College Football Hall of Famer, really has taken Northwestern to places that it hasn't seen probably since he was playing. And Coach Scott Frost, they're in the Big Ten. I mean, it's a really tough division. It truly is. So it's going to be an exciting game, I think, on the 27th of August in the Aviva. You know, I'm hoping to get over there. We'll see if I can make it happen.
Absolutely. We had the opportunity to get over to Northwestern last year, and Coach Fitz seems like an incredible man, very intelligent coach. What constitutes a great coach at college level compared to, say, at NFL level? I presume they need to have they have to have an improved holistic sense of their team, and they have to realize, I guess, that there are players with greater even ambitions than winning college titles.
You know, I think Northwestern in particular is a really unique situation. Yes, at the end of the day, I went into college football thinking I'd love to make this a career and go play in the NFL. And the vast majority of players understand that less than 1% of college football players are going to have a chance to play in the National Football League, but it's a dream. And as a college football coach, I think one of the unique abilities you have to have is being able to, one, manage expectations, but two, also encourage those kids to reach for the stars. And at the end, that's kind of a contradictory way of thinking. You have to prepare your kids for a Friday night game or Saturday game, and especially playing in the Big Ten, which is arguably the second, if not the first most competitive conference in college football, while at the same time then thinking about the next stage in their career post student athlete life. And now you've got the NIL thing to have to worry about as well, where some of these kids are actually earning money while playing college football, which is very new. So I don't envy Coach Fitz and Coach Frost, really, because to be a college football coach, you have to be a very, very special individual, because you're dealing with somebody's child from when they're 18 to 22, potentially, and you're molding them in some of their most formative years. And these two coaches have done a phenomenal job of that.
When did you realize that you were going to make it into the crew that are in that under 1%?
Probably my sophomore year, I had a pretty good idea that I could do it. And I'm sure, this story has been told a lot, but my dad was my only kicking coach growing up. He saw an opportunity based on where we lived at the high school that I went to, Don Bosco Prep in Ramsey, New Jersey. It's a national powerhouse school. And Coach Toll, his father's from Armagh. So he figured, bring the little Irish kid in and he can kick the ball for us. Well, my dad said, okay, that seems to be a pretty good situation. And it worked out nicely. So my sophomore year of college, we were talking at the end of the season, watching the playoffs, and he turns to me and just goes, Pat, you can do this. I go, yeah, I know I can. So let's just go make a run at it. And that's when we really knuckled down. Not that we weren't knuckled down before, but hit the weight room hard, hit the conditioning hard, and trained harder than I ever have before. And the next 2 seasons, I had some of the greatest seasons in college football history at my position.
Absolutely. When you look back at your NFL career then, Pat, well, what's the main emotion that comes to mind when you think about it?
First and foremost, it's pride. I mean, getting to bring my mom and dad and brother along with me, my grandparents as well, those that were alive, and having them experience the life of an NFL player. I mean, that was exciting. I was proud to do that. There's sadness as well, because I wish it had lasted longer, but the overwhelming emotion there is just pride. I mean, do you know where Clonus is? Because most people don't. And to have a connection to Clonus and to be able to go back and give back to some of the schools there when I was playing, Largy College in particular, and just have people come up to you on the street and congratulate you and say, well done. I mean, that's just pure pride at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can imagine. When you talk then about the sadness at how it ended, or is that because of coaches not willing to pay enough for a kicker? Is it because of the injuries, or what's the main element for it?
Look, there's a lot of reasons. Combination of a couple of different things. Look, tearing an ACL is never going to be an easy thing to come back from. I did that, but business at the end of the day. That's what the NFL is. And I realized that, and I understood that. And I understood that the NFL was not the be all and end all for me. I went to a fantastic university. I got a great degree. I finished an MBA, started it when I was playing, finished it when I stopped. So I always knew there was a life for me after football. And getting called an NFL player was fantastic. It's an amazing time in my life. But the best title I've ever received is husband and dad. And that's where I'm at now, and I'm really enjoying it.
And proud Monaghan man second, I presume.
I'm proud Monaghan man second. Yeah, exactly. Monaghan for Sam. Have to throw that in there.
Hopefully next year, yeah. Do you get back over much to see much of Monaghan play, or any GA for that matter?
Yeah, so in 2019 we were over. In 2020 I was over with the college team. We watched Monaghan beat Dublin up in Clonus, actually. That was the last Monaghan-Dublin match that I watched, so that was fantastic. I was over a couple of months ago. We brought my daughter over for the first time, and we surprised my cousin, who's actually due with a baby here in the next couple of weeks, and we hadn't seen them since early 2020, so it was very exciting to get back over there. And look, much like every Irish person, you're wanting to get back home and see your family after the 2 years that we've had, so I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully we'll see you over here as well in just a few weeks' time for that big game between Nebraska and Northwestern. Pat, it's been brilliant chatting to you. Just a reminder to everybody listening, you've been listening to former NFL place kicker Pat Murray. He's been looking ahead to the Aer Lingus College Football Classic. It's taking place at the Aviva Stadium on Saturday, the 27th of August at 5:30. And as I say, it's the Wildcats, the Northwestern Wildcats going up against the Nebraska Huskers. Tickets for the match are on sale now, and you can purchase them at ticketmaster.ie/touchdown Dublin. And for more information around the game, you can go to collegefootballireland.com or follow the conversation on social media using the hashtag #TouchdownDublin. Pat Murray, thanks a million.
Thanks for having me. Great to chat.
Interesting stuff, Pat Murray, in conversation with Owen there during the week. The game tomorrow week, it's 9:15. It is almost time. Stand by. OTB AM, by the way, a reminder, brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. Here's what we've got on OTB Sports Radio today. 10:15, live football kickoff. It'll be Phil, Colm and Clive Allen, Tottenham legend, joining the lads today. 1 o'clock OTB Gold, Life and Times of Johnny Kilban, the boxer, Mount Rushmore, Cork. Fitting enough, was that put in deliberately, or is it? Yeah, it was. Okay. 3 o'clock today. 4 o'clock, Team 33 League of Ireland legend will be Shane Supple, and at 6 is OTB Gold, Emmanuel Petit, and then of course Off the Ball live on your radio from 7 this evening. You can follow us across all our social channels. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and be sure to download the OTB Sports app as well for the very latest and best in sports content and analysis. After the break, it's a live crappy quiz.
OTB AM on OTB Sports Radio, Ireland's first and only sports radio station.
The best rugby insight and analysis.
I don't think there's probably any positives to come out of just getting rid of Ian Foster. The players are still happy with Ian Foster.
OTB Sports Rugby.
They don't look like the All Blacks. They're not playing like the All Blacks. They're barely clinging on.
Subscribe to the rugby stream on the OTB Sports app now.
If your business relies on a van, that wouldn't sound good. But this does. Get up to 75% off van insurance. Now available in FBD branches nationwide. FBD Insurance. Support. It's what we do. 75% no claims discount based on 5 years claims free. Available on new van policies used for farm or business purposes. Terms and conditions apply. Underwritten by FBD Insurance plc. FBD Insurance Group Limited, trading as FBD Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
OTB AM
with Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.
Chris Waddle.
Oh, you're kidding me. September.
Kyle Lafferty.
Are you joking me?
Is that right?
I know it's not right.
Anybody else?
Leash, was it?
Like, that is one of the most stupid questions.
Darius Vassell? Seriously, you all need to just stay quiet. This is getting really annoying doing this quiz.
What is going on here?
Welcome along to the shoutiest segment on Irish radio. It's the scintillating, it's the stupefying, it's the splendido crappy quiz, and I can only apologise for me being here and that Owen isn't, and you better get used to it. That's all I'm saying. Every Friday we pit three, as you know by now, three of Off the Ball team up against each other in our no-holds-barred quiz of sporting factoids at the end of the week. And allow me to welcome today's contestants. Our first contestant is the Robbie Lyle of new YouTube channel AVTV. His kids are not going to eat for a week because Villa won last weekend, but trust Stevie G, as you can see there in the bottom right, to screw things up and pay for the family holiday to Dubai. It's almost like we planned it with those sweet, sweet clicks. Give it up for APM, angry producer Mick. Stevie G.
How you doing, Adrian?
How are you getting on?
I thought one substitute suggested we should have another one, and this is my official apology to Mr. Stephen Gerrard for my diatribe. Unfounded, unwarranted, unnecessary and ultimately incorrect diatribe about the Premier League's greatest manager.
We can see your silhouette moving there in the background, but I mean, I'm happy for you to leave Stevie G up for the duration, Mick. That'd be entirely up to yourself.
Well, until I start having to write
fair shout.
In the later rounds, maybe I'll keep it beside me.
Our next contestant has had a planet in the Andromeda Galaxy named after him after last week's quiz success. He may be the only person on Earth that knows that this planet even exists, but still, put that in your pipe and smoke it, Tommy Bow. It's the Monaghan Machete. It's Shane Hannon.
Good morning, lads. To Monaghan and beyond, as Buzz Lightyear famously once said.
All good in Monaghan?
Keeping well. I know you had Pat Murray on just before.
I knew you were going to mention that. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, a little bit of Monaghan content this morning. Hard to beat.
Our final contestant is the biggie to Phil Egan's 2-pack. The Conte to his Tuchel. He only agreed to come on this morning at the proviso that the Burley Kilmacud bully didn't show up. Give it up for Arthur OPHD.
Morning.
Hi Arthur, how are you getting on?
Flying.
That is the greatest window into an Arthur O'D response that you're ever going to get. As ever, as you'll be familiar with the format, it's a classic crappy quiz with a series of questions and a range of themes, and then it's on to the slip and slide of trivia, the rapid fire round. The podcast of the crappy quiz is on otbsports.com. It's also on the OTB Sports app, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to click the thumbs up, even if we contribute absolutely nothing but misery to your day. Please send any questions, by the way, into us. If you have, get a postcard and send them in to Grabby Quiz Quizmaster, Off the Ball Towers, Marconi House, Diggs Lane, Dublin 2. Apologies for my inability to read off exactly what it says here in front of me in the script, but also a big shout out to Cian Johnson of Offaly football fame, who's running the OTB TikTok at the minute with great aplomb, and he's basically written all of this week's quiz. So thanks to Cian for that. Right, we're going to get straight into it, lads. Are you ready?
Good to go.
The boring questions, round one, never multiple choice. Question 1 for you, Stevie G. Can you name the last men's Meath footballer to win an All-Star?
Just me here. Stevie's gone.
Okay.
Off the training. Stephen Bray.
That is correct. Question 1 for you, Shane. Only one Australian golfer has ever won the US Masters. Who was it? Australian golfer, US Masters.
Scott.
He said Adam Scott there as I talked over him. Good man, Shane. 1 point to you. And question 1 for you, Arthur. Who's the youngest player ever to score a Champions League goal? I was about to start giving out about the fairness of the questions here. But I'm probably not in a position to do that.
Adrian, play both roles, please.
Yeah.
I miss your curmudgeonly impact on the quiz.
Give me time.
Good grief. I don't know. I'm just going to say Wayne Rooney.
Ansu Fati. That was, I mean,
that's a
I think we all know that was a toughie, Arthur. Round 2, let's get on with it into the Wikipedia list round. This game is simple, it says here in front of me. I will list from Wikipedia in order from first to last the clubs that a footballer has played for, and all you have to do is guess the footballer in question, and the first person to do so will win the point. Nice and simple. There is one major rule though, to avoid the complete carnage of guessing free for all here. Each contestant must state their own name before guessing a player. Of course, this is the crappy quiz, so your names are your crappy quiz nicknames. We have APM, we have OPHD, and we have the Monaghan Machete. So if that's clear, we will crack on with it here. And failure to do that, by the way, will eliminate the contestant from that particular round of the quiz. So you're going to get one guess per club named, which initially was very confusing, but I hope everybody now understands. And if you're all ready, I will take your silence as a yes, and I will crack on with question 2 for whoever shouts their nickname first. This first player started their senior professional career with Marsala. He then moved to Monza. He then moved to Nice. He then moved to Monaco.
APM. Mbappe.
Incorrect. He then moved to Manchester United.
Monaghan Machete. Patrice Evra.
Correct.
I forgot my nickname there for a second, and I was like, "Oh, is this going to be?"
I was wondering why you were thinking you were shouting in and then thinking about it. Okay, is that 1 point for Shane? Is that how that works? Yeah. Okay. Very good. I don't know how we're going to keep score here. We'll figure it out as we go. Question 2 for whoever shouts their name first. This second player started their senior professional career with Watford.
APM. Ashley Young.
Correct.
Good shout.
What? No one's ever got it on the first club before.
Question 2 for whoever shouts their nickname first. This player first started their senior professional career with Auxerre.
Monaghan
Machete.
Eric Cantona.
Incorrect. He then moved to Liverpool.
PhD.
Jibril
Cisse.
Correct.
Good one. Trying to remember his name.
So that means that you each get 1 point from that round. Well done, great success for everybody. And after round 2, it means that Mick and Shane are tied with 2 points apiece, and OPHD is on 1 point. As we, that's Colm has that as well. Fantastic. We're all on the same sheet. Amazing. Round 3 is, as ever, the pass the parcel of doom round. And in this round, all you've got to do is give me a name that is on a list of names that I have here in front of me, and the parcel of doom passes on to the next contestant, who then also has to give me a name. And we're going to keep moving through the list until one of you gives me an incorrect answer or fails to answer, at which point that person will be eliminated, and on we go. When 2 players are eliminated, the remaining player gains a point. All clear? All happy? Amazing. Question 3. We're going to start with you here, Mick. And
Adrian, I'm enjoying your audition for taking this role on a full-time basis.
I'm figuring it out as we go, Mick. I'm figuring it out as we go. It says here, question 3 for Mick, and let's just say after that we'll go to Shane, and then we'll go to PhD, and then we'll sort of move around after that. That makes a bit of sense. So, can you name a player who has scored over 120 Premier League goals? Mick.
Wayne Rooney.
Is this in? It's in order. Yeah. Yeah.
Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
Andy Cole.
It says it in front of me. No, absolutely. It says it in front of me. Ashley Cole. So we'll just assume that you're right there, PhD, and we'll move back to Mick.
Aguero.
Correct. Shane.
Frank Lampard.
Correct. Arthur.
Thierry Henry.
Correct. Mick.
Harry Kane.
Yes.
Ruud van Nistelrooy.
No.
Mick is in ahead of me there, and that is a no. So you are out, Shane. Over to you, PhD. We've got 1, 2, 3.
Drogba.
Oh, good show. Wrong.
Drogba is not on the list in front of me. Is as much as I can say about that, Arthur. Let me just double check that to make absolutely certain he is not on the list in front of me. So the point there goes to APM.
Robbie Fowler was he on it?
Fowler was on. Could you have gone much more?
I would have given it a go. Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
Look at him showing off now. Look at this.
Van Persie.
Yeah.
Ian Wright.
No.
Okay, well, I would have went.
Anelka, Defoe, Les Ferdinand, Jimmy Floyd, Robbie Keane.
Of course.
God, I knew Robbie was over 100. I didn't realise he was over 100.
Lukaku, Owen, Salah, Sheringham and York. Right, irrelevant. So that I think is 1 point for you, Mick. Is that right? I think was that right? Yeah, we'll work at that basis. Right, question 3, which is starting with Shane, and then we'll say moves on to PhD and then on to APM after that. This one, starting with you, Shane, is can you name a player in the top 20 all-time scorers in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship?
Jesus Christ!
Right. Conor Mcmanus.
I knew you were going to start with that one, and the answer is correct.
Dean Rock.
Bloody hell, Arthur.
Correct. Mick.
Yeah. Cillian O'Connor.
Correct. Shane, back to you.
Porrick Joyce.
Yep.
Wow.
Colin Cooper.
Yep.
Arthur jumped in and out of me twice here. Okay.
$15 more names on the list.
That music is really loud today.
Ramp it up a bit there, Jojo. Pile the pressure on them. They're the words
Canavan?
of a man under pressure, but he's pulled it out of the fire. Yeah. Shane.
Trevor Giles.
No.
Shake of the head doesn't fill me with confidence.
You're out, Shane. You are out. PhD, back to you.
Michael Murphy.
Yeah.
Bernard Brogan?
Yeah.
Jesus. James O'Donoghue?
No.
No.
James O'Donoghue is not in the 20
Christ almighty.
all-time scorers in the Ireland Senior Football Championship of all time.
That's survival.
Paddy Bradley, Sean Kavanagh, Johnny Doyle, Morris, Jimmy Keaveney, Oisin McConville, Stephen McDonnell, Tony McTague, Ross Munley, Barney Rock. Thought somebody would get Barney when Arthur went with Dean. Mikey Sheehy and Brian Stafford. The last man.
You can't trust anything pre-qualifiers because they only played like 3 games a year.
So that was a point for PhD. 1 point for...
No,
sorry, a point for Mick, was it?
How dare you?
How dare you? How dare you? I've forgotten what literally just happened 30 seconds ago. So 2 points so far from for Mick in this round as we move on to question 3, which is going to start with you, Arthur, and then move on to Mick, and then end up with you, Shane, if I'm absolutely right with what's happening here. I'm sure who the hell knows. This one is... can you name a winner of the RTE Sports Person of the Year award this century?
We had this last week.
RTE Sports Person of the Year award this century.
This was literally last week's quiz.
Huh?
This was last week's.
Rings a bell to me as well, Mick.
Are you saying these are an actual repeat of last week's question?
Last week's, yeah.
Actual questions.
No. Just this one.
So these, I think, like, I'm not sure the.
It's word for word the same as last week.
I'm not sure that the responses here. I'm going to give an extra bit of information on this. This is the International Sports Person of the Year. It's not the Irish Sports Person of the Year. This is the International
even
Sports
easier.
Person of the Year. I mean,
bloody hell.
Hang on a second. Sorry. Hang on a second here.
I love it. I absolutely love it. We're flying.
This question does not reflect the answers. And is definitely not the question that relates to these answers. And,
get on the phone, quick.
Other than, I've absolutely no idea what the question is. But it's something to do with golf. So what I'm going to do there is take the executive decision, as I've been absolutely lumped in the hot stuff here. I'm just going to scrap that question. It is gone. That round is going to result in 2 points for Mick, which brings him to 4. Shane stays on 2 and PhD stays on 1. And it's with apologies, lads, because, but yeah.
This is null and void.
Not a clue. You can make that case at the end, Arthur. I'm certainly up for that. I'm sort of also still in the meantime waiting to see if somebody's going to give me what the actual question is. They're not, so I'm going to crack on to the next round.
What a farce. That's the crappiest crappy quiz segment.
I was looking at some of the names going, wow, there's a lot of golf names on this list. Wow. And Willie Anderson was making this. Round 4. This one is the short numbers round that you're all very familiar with. Another new and innovative idea from producer Colm. It says in my script here, and he wants me in this round to give the number of a specific shirt in football and would like you to tell me who wore the shirt. That's not what the questions. That's exactly the opposite of what's written down in terms of the questions. So scrap what I just said there. I'm going to give you the name of a footballer, the club that footballer was at, or sports person, and I want you to tell me what shirt number they wore. I do appreciate now why some of the calamities arise in this quiz.
Seriously, how much can we pay him? How much can we pay him to stay another year?
No, there isn't any amount of money. I do understand why some of the calamities arise now. Not all Owen's doing. I'm going to give you a sports person. I'm going to give you the club they were playing for, and you're going to give me the shirt number. Or are you going to take a guess at it? All clear? All happy?
Fair.
Question 4 for you, Mick. Can you tell me the number Ronaldinho wore for AC Milan?
30.
No, that is incorrect. The answer is 80. So you stay on 4 points. Mick, question 4.
Sorry, what? The answer is 80.
80. Is there somebody going to do a quick Google? I mean, I do understand why you might question the validity of the questions and answers here, Mick.
I actually thought you said Aiden, which wouldn't have made much sense at all.
Huh? 80?
Aiden.
Oh, sorry. Question 4 for you, Shane. Can you tell me the number Scottie Pippen wore for the Chicago Bulls?
Trying to bring my Last Dance knowledge back in here. Scottie Pippen.
This Rebel Tour is never going to last.
Scottie Pippen, I'm going to go Number 3.
Number 33. You stay on 2 points, Shane. Question 4 for you, Arthur. Can you tell me the number that Wes Hoolahan wore at Euro 2016?
10.
Chance to get back in it. 10, your final answer. What'd you say, Mick?
14.
20.
Yeah, 14, just like I said.
So after that, none of you get any points. Mick 4, Shane 2, Arthur 1. Round 5, the fun-free magic number round. Contestants get 3 points for getting the number exactly right. If no one manages that, the nearest contestant who doesn't go bust gets 2 points. The second closest will get 1 point, and on we go. And again, I'm going to state that we can only accept the answers that I'm assuming is written on your piece of paper. So actually, you might write it down and hold it up to the screen when we're done, because I don't trust any of you. And I'm also going to have to ask for your pens once the music ends. So if you don't mind, give us the following number. The number of All-Stars won by Joe Canning, plus the number of goals Shane Long has scored for Ireland, plus the number of Super Bowl rings Tom Brady has won, plus the number of tries Tommy Bowe has scored for Ireland. Your 30 seconds will expire when Sinatra sings Bright Shiny Beads. So it's Joe Canning All-Stars, Shane Long Ireland goals, Tom Brady Super Bowl rings, and Tommy Bowe tries for Ireland. PhD is making a lot of gestures to suggest he's done. Bubbles, bangles, bright shiny beads. Okay, pens down. Mick, hold up what you have.
What's the point? I'm telling you what I have. 57.
57. I can't see it anyway. PhD, what have you got?
48.
48. And Shane?
I've gone 43.
43. So Mick is... None of you are bust. Mick is the closest. So Mick gets how many points? 2 points for you, Mick. So you've already gone into... an almost unassailable...
it's all over, Mick. It's all over.
The correct answer was, in fact, 59.
Oh!
Joe Canning, All-Stars.
I had 59, and I always take away 2 when it's a high number because...
You should have stuck with it, Mick. You should stick with it. Joe Canning, All-Stars.
5.
Yeah. Shane Long, goals.
I put 16. I don't know.
13, no.
17. Super Bowl rings for Tom Brady.
7.
Yeah, he knew that one. And Tommy Bowe tries.
Must be 30 because I had 31.
30. So that's it. That is the first most of the quiz done, and it means that heading into the final round, Mick leads the way on 6 points, Shane on 2 points, and Arthur on 1 point. So our winner tonight is going to be decided in the no theme in particular, ridiculously easy rapid fire round, and the score you get in this round is going to be added to those scores that I've just mentioned, and it'll be 40 seconds for everyone to answer from the same set of questions. We're going to start with the person with the highest number of points, Mick, on to the person with the second number, which is Shane, and then on to you, PhD. And if you get a question correct, I'll ask you another, and keep asking until you get one wrong. Once you get one wrong, I'll move on to the next person, and your incorrect answer also means the deduction of 1 point. And I'll also add in there that if there's much of a break, I'm going to just crack on to the next person. So everybody happy with that? Mick, Shane, Arthur, in that order. Right, your 40 seconds starts now. Mick, Alexis Sanchez now plays for which club?
Inter? I don't know.
No. Shane, name the USA soccer legend now playing for Shelbourne.
Heather Williams.
In what position did Israel
Olatunde? That's Heather O'Reilly.
Arthur. In what position did Israel Olatunde finish in the European 100 metres final this week?
6th.
Correct. Name the Ireland women's rugby head coach.
Greg McWilliams.
Who hosted the last FIFA Women's World Cup?
Football or rugby?
Football.
USA.
Incorrect. In what position Mick did Rashida Adeleke finish in the European 400 metres final this week? What?
5th.
5th, and I'm going to give you one more. I think you've won it anyway, either way.
Why?
Because I messed up. What is Desi Farrell's... you've won it anyway. What is Desi Farrell's club? You know it.
Messina.
So, by my reckoning there, Arthur got a point and then lost it. Shane had some points taken away.
Arthur
Mick got a couple correct. Yeah. I don't know what the final scores were.
Jesus.
Happily.
Well done, Mick. Well done, Mick.
There's no dispute about the outcome. Alexis Sanchez plays for Marseille. Heather O'Reilly, and apologies, I jumped in when I heard the word Heather. I'm giving you the point. That was absolutely right to call that out. Olatunde 6th, correct. Greg McWilliams, Arthur, correct. France hosted the last FIFA Women's. I don't know why I threw the word rugby in there. It was a bit odd, but you understand.
It was a bit odd.
And Adeleke 5th and Afina Desi Farrell. So that's it. Everybody happy with the outcome, Stevie G? Well,
I'd say everybody's happy with the outcome.
Well, at least I suppose everybody's happy with the process of how we got to the outcome. Is that a fair question?
This won't last.
This
is dead.
Arthur's not happy.
We'll get Jared to present it next time.
Exactly.
Don't do one more.
He probably, by the looks of our poll this morning, Mick, he's going to be a contestant for his final show next week.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Well done.
Do you want Stevie next week or not?
I'm Stevie every week, yeah.
Might bring him into the office.
He's got a bit of a sheen off his head is the only thing there. Right, good on you. Well done, Mick. Good luck.
Fair play, Mick.
Well done. The best thing I can say about the quiz is it's finished. And it'll be back again next week. Right, OTB AM brought to you live each morning by Gillette Labs for an effortless finish to your day. It's 20 to 10 this morning. We're back on Monday morning from 7:30. Dan McDonald is going to be live in studio alongside Gerrard's Manchester United entertain Liverpool obviously that evening in what will no doubt be a tense Old Trafford come Monday evening. We're going to be joined on Monday's show as well by the Anfield Wrap's Harriet Pryor, Samuel Lockhurst of the Manchester Evening News ahead of kick-off there as well, and we're also going to have the Gillette Labs performance rankings and much more besides as well. Right now we're going to leave you with some John Giles from last night's show. He's talking to Richie McCormick, but from me, have a great weekend. Good luck.
Line for our regular weekly chat with John Giles. John, good evening to you.
Evening, Richie.
John, we've got so many things to get through this evening.
Yeah.
I was going through bits and pieces from last weekend and I was wondering where to begin. I guess we should probably start from the big story from the Saturday of last week, which was Manchester United's capitulation away to Brentford. As poor as United were against Brighton on the opening week of the season, I don't think many would have seen this coming. I think a lot of people would have thought, all right, they've got a game, Erik ten Hag has seen what he's got to deal with and he'll make a couple of tweaks and a couple of people might come in, a couple of people might go out and they'll get it right against Brentford. And they managed to get it so spectacularly wrong. I think we were all taken aback, and I'm sure you probably were yourself.
Well, I couldn't believe it, really, Richie. No, it was so bad. I mean, it was bad enough the week before. But as you said, playing against Brentford, a well-organised team, but not one of the top teams in the Premiership by any means. And what was it, 20 minutes, 4 down, or 25, whatever it was. It was, I'd say, for the manager's point of view and the supporters' point of view of Manchester United, it was very, very difficult to watch and accept because it was so bad. You know, the goalkeeper made a couple of mistakes, there's no doubt about that, which wasn't good from Manchester United's point of view. But he wasn't the only one. It was just no spirit, no go. Brentford outplayed them. You know, this is going from the week before where it was a bad performance, and you'd expect them to pick up. You'd expect the manager to get a grip of them a bit, but it was worse. And it's very, very hard to take, I'd say, for Manchester United supporters.
It's very difficult to know what the approach was as well last Saturday, because we went from seeing, to everybody's surprise, in that opening game against Brighton where Christian Eriksen was deployed as a false nine, and I don't think that's a position that he's ever operated in during his career. And again, if anybody wants to text in, wants to tweet or whatever tonight and say that he did it for Ajax here and there, or he did it for Spurs on occasion, it's certainly not somewhere we're used to seeing him being deployed, that's for sure. And then he went into a role that he's almost equally as unaccustomed to, which is playing as a deep-lying midfielder, which suggests that for one of your key summer signings, you don't really know what to do with them. I think it just left a lot of people scratching their heads.
Well, that's one element of it, Richard. There's no doubt about it. But there were so many other things happened that were bad. I mean, the whole spirit of the team, defending, not defending, what was Ronaldo up to? You know, this thing has been going on a long time at Manchester United. We had the interim manager after 4 years of Solskjaer, who was, in my opinion, never up to the job. The interim managers just don't work. And then we got a new manager in, and I think the only player that played, it was Martinez, that he signed during the summer. I thought when they get a new manager in the summer, there should be at least 4 or 5 players, new players, good players, coming into the Manchester United squad. That hasn't happened. You know, at all in any way. You know, if you look at Notts Forest, for example, Notts Forest, a team just come up in the second division. They bought about 6 players.
They bought 10 more than that, John. I think they're under 16 signing in the summer.
Was it 16?
Today,
Well, you know, that's making sense for a team that's coming up hoping to stay up there. This is Manchester United, which their own supporters are hoping for them to win the league, or certainly be up and challenging for the league. So it's a total mess, Richie. There's no doubt about that. And where he's going from there. I mean, you saw him after the match. Everybody saw him after the match. And he looked like a man, to me, that was shocked. You know, actually shocked at what was going on. He couldn't answer any questions. And I don't blame him. But how has it got to this stage at Manchester United that, you know, during the summer when they got the new man, they knew they needed players, new players coming in. They were getting players out of the club. And it comes to matches like the weekend, and I think there was only one player in the team, new player that they bought. You know, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, Lisandro Martinez, I think, was that new signing that had come in, and it was the only one that had really sat. Well, Christian Eriksen obviously was there too, and then Tyrone Malacia is on the bench as another new signing from Feyenoord. They've been linked with a whole plethora of players. We saw the pantomime that went on with the links to Arnautovic, the protests against signing him essentially from people online. That was a contributing factor to them not pursuing that particular signing. They've been linked with several players in the past couple of days. Casemiro from Real Madrid, the midfielder, is the latest name to be linked to Manchester United today. But this scattergun approach just speaks to a lack of organisation from the top down at the club, and this from the top down, I mean above the manager's head. There doesn't seem to be a case of the right hand knowing what the left hand's doing there in any sense.
No, and the manager has to lead. But we have the problem too, or he has the problem that he hasn't done very well on, which is the Ronaldo problem. You know, Ronaldo a few weeks ago in one of the friendly matches was taken off and disappeared out of the dressing room before the team came in. And next thing but then he's back in the team. Well, you can't run a club like that. You're talking about morale, and what's morale? It's the people getting together for the benefit of the team, play for the benefit of the team, giving everything for the team. Well, that can't be the case. I mean, the players are there, experienced players, looking at the situation and thinking, well, how does Ronaldo get away with that? You know, it's dreadful. I can't get words to describe it. And Manchester United, you know, one of the best clubs in the world, and they're in a situation now after 2 matches in the Premiership, not against the best teams even, with 0 points, and we don't know what's going to happen. Where are the players that lined up? Has he been given the authority to sign the players that he wants? Have they backed him up? Have the management backed him up in getting the players that he wants in? You know, they've known for a while that he's going to be the manager, and you would have imagined that they'd get the players in, no matter what it took, after for the start of the season. And it's not happened. And then you see what we see, which is, you know, two dreadful displays. No spirit, no go, no team spirit. The manager looks in a shock condition. You know, this is not Manchester United by a long way.
I saw quotes in the paper there. You'd remember more than me, obviously. Willie Morgan was the Manchester United captain when they were relegated in 1974, and he came out and claimed, and I'm sure this is coming from a place of anger more than anything else as well, and frustration at the current situation. But he's saying that the way the current crop of players are performing are certainly worse and showing even worse spirit than was shown in 74. And I don't think under Tommy Docherty or whatever back then that there would have been a lack of spirit. It was just I don't know, there was a certain X factor missing, and there was, you know, they'd gone through turmoil post Busby leaving and all that kind of stuff. But they certainly seem to be lapsing it. Like, we're talking about them playing Brighton and Brentford in the first 2 games of the season. It's not as if they've gone and been hammered by Man City and Liverpool. Like, these are games that look like when, you know, the computer fixture, or the fixture computer, pardon me, works its magic in the summer. You look at your opening fixtures, and people who kind of do these things say, well, there's, you know, 3-4 winnable games there for United in the first 5, and they've made a hames of both of them. So you kind of question where they are going to go next year.
Yeah, well, that does happen before, because you never know. Yeah, everybody can say they should win this and should win that, and you can get some very, very some games that go against you and a bit of bad luck. You You know, but the two matches that we're talking about, not bad luck, just bad displays where they deserve to be beaten by both teams in the weekend. And it's the whole mess decision, the Ronaldo situation. Ronaldo wants to go, they won't let him go. He gets in the team, he gets out of the team. And it's just a lack of spirit, endeavour, whatever you want to call it. Players having a go. But that's like we're 4-0 down after a half hour at the weekend. You know, against a team that played well, Brentford not going to be one of the top teams in the league by any means.
But they'll always be well organised to a degree.
Well organised, good spirit, good morale. That's because the manager's done the job. He's been there a few years now. He's done a really good job, and that's what. But what is morale? Morale is a sense of everybody being happy in the club. They're going out to play for the team. They're going out to play for each other. Going out there to have a go. Whatever way you want to describe it, that's what you do. And being well organised. And then you got Manchester United. All the things that I've said there, they didn't do. They didn't have a go. They weren't well organised. They got 4 down.
Yeah, at the beginning of that capitulation, of course, John, was that flub and that real howler by David De Gea in goal to essentially let the ball slip through his hands and into the net. His confidence appears to be shot from a position whereby he was clearly positioned as the number one goalkeeper at United, head and shoulders above Dean Henderson last year, to the point that Henderson, I think, only got like 3 cup appearances and everything else was De Gea. But they now have Erik ten Hag in charge, who, of course, coming from the Ajax school, wants to play out from the back and wants his keepers to be able to do that as well. We now have a situation where it looks like De Gea, particularly as we saw for that second goal, doesn't appear capable of doing that, and there's now questions over whether he should continue on in goal, and they're now being linked to goalkeepers, which is the scare around all of this now. But I don't know if you've ever seen a keeper like that just take a complete nosedive in confidence.
No, it's a second match, and I don't think he should be asked to play out from back. I don't think goalkeepers should expect to be good on the ball, to be honest, Richie. And it was a bad pass anyway to Eric. It should never have been passed to him in that particular situation. But where was the fight back, Richie? You know, this happened. Those 2 goals happened very early on in the match. So if you're in the right team, obviously you take it and say, okay, we'll have a go from now on in. But you don't stop or start to play like Manchester United played after what was those 2 goals that he gave away for in the first 15 minutes?
There was a span of about 25 minutes, say 22, 25 minutes, somewhere in that kind of region, from about the 12th minute of getting this right to the 35th. And that's when it all went.
Yeah, but they weren't dominating the game in between those second goals. You know what I mean? And then you go, okay, so the goalkeeper's at fault. There's no doubt for the 2 goals, no doubt about that. But where's the fight back? You know. It just didn't happen, and that's on the back of the display the previous week, where De Gea didn't make mistakes, you know, and the goal and the manager being interviewed afterwards. I don't think he knows where he is. To be honest, he just looked in shock, and whether that's going to improve or not, we don't know. But it's a very, very worrying situation for the position that Manchester United are in after only 2 matches played in the season, and not against what's considered to be the top teams.
Yeah, and they've only got the 1 goal, of course, between those 2 games as well, which is a worry that I don't think has been kind of brushed over a little bit. It's not as if they're scoring, they're also just conceding for fun at the minute, particularly from set pieces as well, and Brentford were certainly able to exploit that. Lisandro Martinez, as you mentioned there, one of their big signings from Ajax during the summer, one of the few that probably Ten Hag has had agency over this summer. But a lot has been made obviously about his height, and we've seen good centre halves who aren't 6 foot before, the likes of like Fabio Cannavaro has obviously made a hell of a career for himself, by being under 6 foot and still being a good centre half. But Brentford seemed capable of exploiting Lisandro Martinez's lack of height last week and just sticking someone like Ben Mee, who's like 6 foot, 6'4", 6'5", on top of him. You know you're going to get change out of him.
Well, the way the players are so skillful now and getting the ball into the right position, I think you could have a player of that size in that position as long as you've got other players for the dead ball situations to be able to handle it, Richie.
Yeah.
And he was expected to do that. and he was all over the place for the goal. So it's not the ideal situation. I think he was the only new player in the team. Well, apart from
Eriksen, yeah.
Eriksen, in the team to be able to take charge of it. And that was a bad mistake, obviously. But it was the whole situation with Manchester United from the start of the match to the finish. It was like they weren't trying a leg.
Yeah.
That's the way it was. And the manager looking at them and doesn't know what the hell is going on. Nobody knows what's going on. But the manager has had a few weeks to get players in situations that he wants to get them in, and there's nothing happening. Richie,
they're kind of linked here and there with players, and it seems a bit scattergun. I'm just wondering, John, what can you do in a situation like this to kind of stem the bleeding?
Well, it's very, very difficult, Richie. But I think what you've got to do, you've got to sort out the Ronaldo situation straight away. You have to do that. I mean, he's a huge personality, been a great player for years, and you're in a situation where he's left in a match, disappears, doesn't turn up for training the early part of the season, is in the team, out of the team. You can't have that situation. A team is a team where they all pull together. And Ronaldo has stated from a while back, he definitely wants to go. I think his agent has some deal lined up, and he wants to go. Well, if a player wants to go, Richie,
get rid.
He has to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad enough in a team having everybody pulling together, and that's what you need, and that's where you get the team spirit. But if one of the outstanding players in football is saying, I want to go, how can you have a team pulling together if you're doing that? Where's the team spirit? What is the team spirit if everybody's not pulling together?
Would you have made anything of those scenes afterwards? And some people kind of decided to highlight it. I don't know if I give it that much credence, but the scenes of Ronaldo essentially, either whatever way you want to read it, either he blanked Ten Hag or Ten Hag blanked him as they were walking off the pitch. I don't know if that's something that you picked up on at the time.
Well, I don't think it's been right, the relationship since the new managers come in.
Yeah.
It's just not right. I mean, he was late turning up for training because he was supposed to have family situation, right? Then he's left out in the match and he's subbed, and he disappears before the team come in. That's enough to tell you, well, I can't put up with this guy. And he's don't forget, he said from the start of the season he wants to go. Well, if a personality like Ronaldo and a top player like that wants to go, then he has to go. Get him out. Get him out of the place. Instead of trying to hang on and saying, you're not going and I want you to play. It doesn't happen, Richie. And all the players are in the same dressing room as him.
Yeah.
Knowing that he wants to go. How do you expect to have a team spirit and the team is up, everybody's going to pull together? Because they'll be judging the players. The other players will be judging the manager in that situation. They'll be saying, what's the manager doing? Why doesn't he get him out?
We've got a couple of weeks until the transfer window closes, obviously maybe even a little bit less than that. What kind of players should United be targeting? Because they clearly are active in the transfer market. They haven't secured anyone as of yet amongst these latest, tranche of negotiations, etc. What kind of player do you think, judging on these first two performances, do they need to at least kind of plug a couple of gaps there?
Well, I don't know any names, Richie.
But even the type of player, yeah.
Yeah, well, you're looking for, first of all, you're looking for players who want to come to the club, who want to play for Manchester United, who want to play for the manager. Right? That's the start. That's your starting point. So when they go out in the field, they're doing the best they possibly can, and you get the team spirit going. Right? Obviously, you're looking for as good players as you can get in any position, but Manchester United should be in a situation where, and I think the manager should be in a situation that he knows exactly who he wants, and then he's got to be backed by the Manchester United board or whoever's in charge of giving him the money to do it. We don't know what the situation is there. We don't know whether he has the authority to get the players in he wants or not. At the moment, it doesn't look like it because he has hardly got any players in at the moment, Richie. And he would have a list, or should have a list of players as a manager in that situation, of players that he wants, that he knows these are good players, I want them, I really want to get them now. So we don't know. We don't know what the situation is there. But the fact, what we do know, is he hadn't got the players in. He just hasn't had the players in. He's had Martinez, the centre-back, as you say, maybe one or two other lads who are not in the team. You've got Ronaldo, who doesn't want to be there, in the team. So it's a mess. Yeah. That has to be sorted out. Well, but I think the Ronaldo situation is a must and has been there in front of him before he came into the club.
Yeah, it's probably a situation that he doesn't have authority to deal with. It's we'll get on to their next opponents a little bit later on, but the football show is brought to you by Sky. Get all the football you love in one place across Sky Sports, BT Sport and Premier Sport. John, I want to touch on this major. We talked about, kerfuffles and all that on the sideline with Ronaldo and Ten Hag, or one ignoring the other. We got quite the opposite on Sunday between Antonio Conte and Thomas Tuchel. They obviously had words after the Spurs equaliser. Those words became a pretty fraught handshake and some more heated words at the full-time whistle, resulting in both of them picking up red cards off the referee. What did you make of this first major confrontation of the Premier League season between Tuchel and Conte?
I didn't like it, Nathan. I've heard somebody saying it was great entertainment. I didn't find it great entertainment. I thought it was very, very bad for the game. And I thought Tuchel was more to blame than Conte.
Yeah.
Especially at the end when they were shaking hands and he wouldn't let his hand go. And I think he was actually saying, "Look at me eyes when I'm shaking your hand." For heaven's sake. Why does anybody have to look at
OTB AM.
With Gillette. Get into your flow with the new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar.